a very good evening to you. You're with BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra for live commentary from the Premier League, and what an intriguing game this is. Nottingham Forest enjoying this dream season against Manchester United, who are not enjoying theirs quite so much. The City Ground abuzz with noise. There is no happier place than this in Nottingham currently. Champions League football a real possibility next season. An FA Cup semi-final to look forward to at Wembley. It has quite simply been beyond even the most ardent of fans' wildest dreams. It's been the complete opposite for Manchester United, a lowly 13th in the league, an angry fan base, most of it directed at the owners, but an opportunity tonight, believe it or not, to win back-to-back league games for the first time this season. Kick-off just a few moments away. Alongside me to enjoy it with us on 5 Sports Extra, former Forest midfielder and indeed part of the setup here at the City Ground, Andy Reid. Andy, evening to you.
Good evening, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. And this is an intriguing one. It's also a very difficult one to predict.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a really difficult one to call. I think you've got a team in Manchester United that are, struggling for form, being pretty inconsistent, but we know that they've got quality that can most definitely hurt you. And then you've got a Forest team that are in really good form, really riding the crest of the wave, taking it game by game, who will be feeling confident going into the game tonight. So I think it's a really difficult one to call, but I think it'll be an interesting enough, and I think it'll be an entertaining game.
Jared Gillett, tonight's referee, leads the two teams out of the City Ground tunnel. Ryan Yates, the Nottingham Forest captain, his penalty that secured Forest a place at Wembley in the FA Cup semi-finals, that is to come, and Bruno Fernandes leading out Manchester United. So a quick opportunity to run you through the two sides. Just the one change for Forest from that FA Cup quarter-final win over Brighton. They needed penalties to reach Wembley, so 10 of the starting 11 go again after 120 minutes. Anthony Elanga, the former Manchester United player, comes in for Nico Dominguez, so still no Chris Wood for Nottingham Forest. Matt Sells, the goalkeeper, Nico Williams, Murillo, Nikola Milenkovic, Ola Aina, the back four, Elliot Anderson and Ryan Yates with Danilo, Morgan Gibbs-White, who is fit, he was a doubt but plays, Anthony Elanga and Teo Awoniyi. 4 changes for Manchester United from their last game many weeks ago, it feels like. A 3-0 win at Leicester. Out go Aidan Heaven, Victor Lindelof, Christian Eriksen and Rasmus Højlund. In come Lenny Yoro, Patrick Dorgu, Casemiro and Joshua Zirkzee leading the line. Andre Onana is the goalkeeper. Lenny Yoro, Matthijs de Ligt, Diogo Dalot the back three, with Nusa Mazraoui and Patrick Dorgu the wing backs. And then Alejandro Garnacho, Casemiro, Manuel Ugarte, Bruno Fernandes and Joshua Zirkzee. The teams break out from the handshakes. Forest to our left and Manchester United to our right. Such a healthy atmosphere and noise inside the City Ground. It's hard to imagine that, Andy, 4 or 5 years ago this was a club that felt directionless. They were at the wrong end of the championship. In comes Steve Cooper and the rest is history, and here they are on the brink of Champions League qualification and an FA Cup semi-final to look forward to.
Yeah, incredible journey, it really has, and to kind of see how the club has grown and how they've taken the Premier League football, how it's progressed on and off the pitch, I think is brilliant. I think it's probably important to set the scene here as well. There's not a seat to be had in the stadium. The atmosphere is incredible. The two teams are out on the pitch. It's a lovely evening, perfect for football, and this crowd tonight, I'm sure they'll bring the atmosphere and they'll urge both of the teams on, and Man United have brought a healthy following as they always do, so we're expecting a good game tonight with an incredible atmosphere.
Yeah, I know that the cliche normally is there isn't a spare seat in the house, but looking around there really isn't a spare seat in the house. Normally there's a section where you can see some red seats, but every single seat is filled by either a Forest fan or a travelling Manchester United fan.
Yeah, and that's what it's been like at Forest, for the last few years. Trying to get a ticket for a game, it's tough, even if you know people.
It has been a glorious day in the East Midlands, as it has been up and down the country, and it's one of those football grounds that you walk to and it does bring a smile to your face, because the sun's shining, the crisp blue skies, you cross the bridge over the River Trent, there was a glorious contrast of the red of the City Ground against the blue of the sky, and now Molov Kintyre rings around this old ground with all of the Forest fans with their scarves high above their heads. And sometimes you just have to take it all in. Too many football matches that start with such gusto from the crowd. Anfield and You'll Never Walk Alone springs to mind, and Mull of Kintyre very much Nottingham Forest's You'll Never Walk Alone. So we are underway, BBC 5 Sports Extra at the City Ground. Nottingham Forest against Manchester United. Forest in their red shirts, white shorts and red socks. They will be going from left to right. That's away from the Trent end and towards the Bridgeford stand. And Manchester United, normally in red, are in dark blue from head almost to toe. The socks are a slightly lighter shade of blue, and it's Manchester United building the first attack of the game, although it breaks down on that far side, the right. Manchester United going from right to left. That's away from where their 3,000 fans are housed, and it'll be Nottingham Forest with the first throw-in of the game, and it'll be Nico Williams, their left-back, to hurl this down the line. Elanga is the target with this. Iwonyi tries to get on the end of it, and then the ball downfield by Manchester United will be headed back towards the halfway line. Yates tries to get his foot on it. Gibbs White will scamper after this. De Ligt has to backtrack and then takes out Gibbs White, but fairly, says the referee. And Nottingham Forest will have a throw level with the edge of the Manchester United penalty area. We're inside the first 90 seconds. It's Forest 0, Manchester United 0. I'd like to say, Andy, we saw quite a lot of that move progressing, but sadly there are a few latecomers, so we didn't see much of it.
Yeah, we didn't. We missed that one. But we'll go from now. All good. Probably as we expected at the start. Man United have had a little bit of possession along the back. Forest comfortable enough for them to have it. As soon as they come into that midfield area or it goes higher, they jump all over them and they look for them turnovers where they're so quick and so strong on the break.
Yeah, it has been one of the most impressive facets of Nottingham Forest game this season, the speed of the counter-attack, the number of goals that Chris Wood in particular has scored off the counter-attack. No Chris Wood tonight, still nursing that hip injury, so Tayo Iwonyi has the opportunity from the start. Manchester United building very slowly and very steadily from the back. De Ligt plays it to Lenny Yoro, one of the 4 changes in this Manchester United side. Infield to the Uruguayan Ugarte. Iwonyi's back there doing some defending, and Murillo will tidy this up just outside his own penalty area. Takes a little chance against Ugarte, who dispossesses him, and now Garnacho in the penalty area. But he set off towards goal and found that the touchline was far too close to him, and Nottingham Forest have this goal kick, 0-0.
Yeah, a little bit of sloppy play from Murillo there. We know how technically brilliant he is. He's tried to come back inside and it just got nicked off him there, so he's got away with one there. Like we said earlier, I think we're going to see a lot of Man United building with that back three. You know, they make the pitch wide, they want to dominate possession, they want to stay on the ball. It's when the ball goes forward, can they get players in enough positions to hurt Forest?
Ball out on that far side, the Manchester United right, as they go from right to left. De Ligt playing in the heart of that back three, and now the gloved Mazraoui on what has been a mild afternoon. Does have the feel of an afternoon, early evening that'll turn into quite a chilly night, so maybe Nazar Mazraoui is thinking ahead there. But you can always tell when we enter British summertime and the football season enters this stage of the season, the hats and the gloves tend to get packed away. There are far more colourful shirts on display because the fans are out in their short sleeve shirts, and it always makes for a very colourful scene, and that's the kind of scene that we have here at the City Ground on the banks of the Trent. Floodlights shining down, we can see the shadows of the players as Yoro plays a direct diagonal looking for Fernandez. That's headed away by Yates on the edge of his own penalty area. Elanga nudges it towards Iwonyi on halfway, immediately closed down by 2 Manchester United players. He originally escaped that trio, but now Manchester United win it back. Fernandez, right foot shot, Sell saves. In the blink of an eye, Manchester United doing what Nottingham Forest have done all season, and Fernandes with a quick shot on the edge of the area, Sells with the first save of the game.
Yeah, it was good play for Man United. They swarmed that midfield area. Forest couldn't gain control of the ball. It broke quite nicely to Bruno Fernandes, who took the shot early, and with it just turning to the evening, there's a little bit of dew on the pitch and it skidded off that pitch, which made it difficult for Matt Sells. He pulled off a really good save there.
Dipping right in front of him, wasn't it? That was one that could easily have squirmed underneath him. He's having a fine season, Matt Sells, and that was a good save. First corner of the game, which Fernandes will swing into the front post where there's a crowd of players. Headed away, Fernandes volley first time, back into the penalty area, headed away, and this is where Forest are so dangerous. Elanga and Gibbs-White leading this counter-attack. Elanga away from two, he's got Gibbs-White in support. He might not need him! He doesn't need him! The former Manchester United player who scores against Manchester United lethally on the counter-attack. Gibbs-White was the decoy run, and Elanga finds the bottom corner to make it Forest 1, Manchester United 0.
Wow, that is simply incredible from Anthony Elanga. He wins the ball back, can't have been any more than halfway through his own half. It breaks away from the corner. He opens up them legs. We know how quick he is. He keeps going. He breaks away. Garnacho tries to stay with him. He shrugs him off. The defenders keep backing off. They see Morgan Gibbs-White on the outside, and Anthony Elanga didn't need him. On his left foot, he's just buried that into the bottom corner. Brilliant finisher. Brilliant finish that was. Incredible. What a goal. What a goal.
The speed in which Nottingham Forest broke from the edge of their own penalty area. 3 seconds later it was on the edge of the Manchester United penalty area, and Elanga, once he'd done all the work to get into that position, didn't he finish it well? There would have been moments, Andy, during that attack where you felt maybe the moment had gone to find Gibbs-White, but Elanga knew exactly what he was doing.
Well, I think the defender's made up his mind. So the defender has dropped off, and he's kept dropping and dropping. He tried to cut off the ball to Anthony Elanga, to Morgan Gibbs-White, and Anthony Elanga just kept going. He can finish off his left foot and his right foot. He's a really good finisher off both feet. You can't give him that type of space that close to goal. He's going to finish it. Brilliant goal, really was.
His 6th goal of the season. The one change for Nottingham Forest, and Nuno Espirito Santo almost immediately justified. The former Manchester United player, 55 times he played for Manchester United, joined Forest a couple of seasons ago, and he would have enjoyed that one in front of the Manchester United fans as well, away to our right hand side. And we wondered what sort of game we were going to get. I think that has probably set this game up even better now that Manchester United have to come out and play.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think Forest have been particularly strong when they've gone a goal up. You know, they can afford to keep the shape, and teams have to come onto them, and you know, if gaps open up, we've seen what they can do. I think when you've got a player of Anthony Elanga's blistering pace, it's elite level pace, and you've always got a chance.
Dalot with the ball in, Fernandes with the header straight at Sells. It's a couple of saves that Sells has had to make now, both from Bruno Fernandes. Good Dalot ball, and Fernandes got decent contact on the header as well, but straight to the goalkeeper.
Good delivery into the box there. Fernandes, we've seen him do it time and time again. He times his run brilliantly well. Maybe heading the ball is not his strong point, but he got a good connection on it. But unfortunately, from a Manchester United perspective, it was straight at Matt Sells.
So Nottingham Forest 1, Manchester United 0 as we creep into the 8th minute. Wolves lead against West Ham. There are 2 other Premier League games that kicked off 15 minutes before this one. So Wolves in front against West Ham United. Jørgen Strand Larsen with that goal. Commentary available on the BBC Sport website and app. And over on 5 Live, Arsenal 0, Fulham 0. There's also a full programme in Leagues 1 and 2. Exeter lead at Barnsley. Leyton Orient up against Burton. Wrexham lead Cambridge United. Wrexham looking good at the top end of the table. And I see Birmingham are also in front away at Bristol Rovers. So we'll keep you across all of the football up and down the country across the 3 leagues. Premier League, League One and League Two. But 8.5 minutes played, 5 Sports Extra. Forest 1, Manchester United 0.
It's really interesting to watch Ryan Yates' position here. He's almost man-to-man marking Bruno Fernandes, and Bruno Fernandes is playing in that inside right position, and he's playing quite high. So Ryan Yates at times looks like he's playing in a centre-back position. I can completely understand why Forest would be thinking about doing that. Fernandes, we've seen already in this game, is he's a really talented player. He can come up at really big moments, and Ryan Yates, as we've seen there, he just gets in and nips the ball from him. So it'll be interesting to see how that tactic plays out.
Almost proving your point, straight in with a challenge. Elanga wins the ball back in a dangerous position, gives wide outside of the right foot prod towards the edge of the penalty area. Williams steps out of defence, wins the ball back. Anderson then is taken down by Ugarte. Referee was very close to that and didn't see anything wrong with that particular challenge. Xerxes, and now Fernandes, base of the centre circle. First time ball for Garnacho to play, hopefully towards Xerxes, and that's well defended by Aina, and Sells can thump it downfield. But Manchester United still with an element of control in this attack. That's a clever ball by Casemiro. Dalot to Garnacho, right hand side of the penalty area, onto his right foot, pulls it back for the right foot shot from Patrick Dorgu, who was well advanced from his left wing back position. That was blocked at source, and Nottingham Forest can think about moving forward. But this is a decent response from Manchester United.
Yeah, it is. They've got on the ball and they've looked to play forward when they can. Ryan Yates has done brilliant there to get back into a position, because that cutback, it was a dangerous situation. It looked like it was Xerxes or Ugarte about to step onto it. Ryan Yates stepped across and made a really vital challenge.
Manchester United coming forward again with promise. Dalot looking for the darting run of Garnacho that had taken him towards the edge of the Forest penalty area. Williams has to think quickly with Garnacho closing him down speedily. Murillo is playing as an auxiliary left back and then plays rather riskily to Danilo. That's given away. Garnacho level with the edge of the Forest penalty area. There's a crowd of red and blue shirts, very close proximity. Manchester United work it nicely out of that slightly tight situation, and Casemiro uses his experience to slow things down, and Manchester United can start again. Ugarte finds Lenny Yoro, and now Dalot on that far side, the right. Ugarte, dead centre of the Forest half, shadows for company, slides it through to Fernandes. That was well blocked, and you can just see every time the ball is loose in that Forest midfield, they're waiting to spring. You can see them primed and ready.
Yeah, you can. They like to flood that midfield area. You've got Yates in there, you've got Anderson in there, you've got Danilo in there, and then Morgan Gibbs-White drops a little bit deep as well sometimes. So they really pack that midfield.
Garnacho, penalty area, onto his right foot, around 3 players in red shirts. His cross is blocked. Danilo will head across to that far side to try and get Forest moving, and Yates will concede a very needless corner. He was under no pressure inside the penalty area, just tried to lay it back to Williams, and he got that all wrong. So Manchester United have this corner with Forest leading by a goal to 0.
It's an interesting battle in the middle of the pitch there, because you've got Fernandes, he's drifting, you've got Casemiro who's looking to build. Ugarte is a little bit freer, he can get forward a little bit. So I think from Forest perspective, it's about keeping that shape and keeping organised. And from a Man United perspective, can they find them pockets to hurt Forest?
Second corner for Manchester United, this one on the far side, which is their right. And Fernandes is over it into the penalty area. Casemiro's header is wide. Couple of yards wide in the end. Casemiro, who has fond memories of this ground, scored a very late winner in last season's FA Cup to take Manchester United through to the quarter-finals, a competition of course they ended up winning, but on that particular occasion his header was 2 or 3 yards wide.
Yeah, what happened there is he just got a little bit too far across the front post, and he's tried to turn and glance his header, but he got too much on it. Sometimes them ones can be difficult if it was lofted in there wasn't very much pace on the ball, so he had to come towards it and ended up maybe 2 or 3 yards just past the front post.
So Nottingham Forest with this 1-goal lead would move to within a couple of points of Arsenal, but Arsenal playing at the moment 0-0 with Fulham. If they were to win tonight, Forest, they'd go 10 points clear of Newcastle in 6th, and given that top 5 look likely to qualify for the Champions League, it would put Forest in such a brilliant position. They've had such a wonderful season. As for Manchester United, they still have the Europa League to try and win, but the Premier League is long gone. top half finish maybe on the cards. Just winning back-to-back league games would be a start. But at the moment, that's not happening either. They trail by 1-0. Fernandes and Yates on this near side, the right, in front of the two Portuguese managers. Casemiro with his left foot, the cushioned header by Ugarte, right-hand side of the centre circle. He's got a bit of space now, the midfielder, to think about his next move, which is a pass to Xerxes, who's been fairly quiet. Dorgu takes over. Fernandes back towards Xerxes. Murillo in the way. Murillo was a little bit needlessly casual there, you could say. He tried to shield the ball from Xerxes, hoping Sells was there, and in the end realised he wasn't getting there, so had to intervene. And it's another Manchester United corner where Forest will feel that probably could have been avoided.
Yeah, well, it looked to me like Xerxes was pulling Murillo. He was kind of climbing over him, and I think Murillo half expected the referee to blow his whistle, and I think he's got a point. We just see a replay coming up on the screen there. He's climbing all over him, he's pulling him. It looked a free kick to me, and I think he was expecting the referee to blow, but it's a dangerous situation now from a corner.
Another Manchester United corner, another Bruno Fernandes set piece. One arm in the air, delivers centrally, headed away by Awoniyi, who is the guardian of the front post. It will be back out to Fernandes, who just allows the ball to drop out of play, and he'll reload for another Manchester United corner. Dorgu and Garnacho are lurking on the edge of the penalty area. Mazraoui's very deep, and everyone else in a blue shirt inside the Forest penalty area in front of the Trent end. Fernandes deeper this time. Sells got something on it, and here comes the Forest counter-attack led by Gibbs-White. Mazraoui hesitates. Gibbs-White is onto this. He's got Awoniyi and Elanga in front of him. He goes to Awoniyi, left-hand side of the penalty area. Elanga and Gibbs-White, Danilo all arriving quite late. Here is Danilo, left-hand side of the penalty area, now running out of the penalty area, and as such, the blistering pace of the counter-attack that is now no longer, and Anderson has it on the base of the centre circle. Well, we saw that before, Andy, but not quite the numbers there on that occasion.
No, it wasn't, but Man United have to be careful. They need to get organised from set pieces, their own set pieces, because that's twice Forest have broken really dangerous positions, and with a little bit more quality on that final pass, it could have been another dangerous situation for them.
Forest now have the ball inside the Manchester United half. Gibbs-White pirouettes seamlessly away from Ugarte, who just caught him. Referee saw it, allowed play to continue. Here is the dangerous Ola Aina, who needs no second invitation to waltz forward. Anderson give and go with Gibbs-White, who is then barged over by Casemiro. Referee Jared Gillett letting an awful lot go here. Manchester United lose their way in midfield. Anderson through a couple of challenges. Well cleared by De Ligt, and out of play for a Forest throw, central area of the Manchester United half.
Elliot Anderson's brilliant at that. When he gets the ball, he wriggles in and out, he gets past 2 or 3 players, and he's unlucky. A couple of little ricochets and it bounced away from him, but again, dangerous situation. You got it's a throw in here, and you've got Ola Aina who's going to put it into the box. He's got an incredibly long throw in.
He's had a very, very good season. He's started every single Forest game in the Premier League this season. Aina towards the back post. Danilo was lurking with intent on the edge of the penalty area. Nico Williams onto his right foot. Little stab towards the back post. Dorgu heads it up rather than out. It's still inside the penalty area. Elanga, cushioned volley to Aina, and now Milenkovic to Elanga. This is on the right hand side of the United penalty area. Lovely from Elanga to lift the ball over Fernandes' head. The move eventually breaks down. Mazraoui, Fernandes and Casemiro can just plot Manchester United forward, although this has a feel of a move that might break down until Casemiro spreads a lovely pass out to Dalot on the far side, the right. Now centrally to Xerxes, who's got Dorgu making good progress on the left. His early ball in, and Sells read the danger. Collects the ball on the penalty spot. Flowing Manchester United move, the kind of move we associate with Nottingham Forest, but Matt Sells read it well. Yeah, it was a really good move from Man United. They broke quickly, and like you mentioned, it looked like Casemiro was going to get caught on the ball, but he's checked back out and he's played a lovely switch pass out to the far side. Matt Sells had to be on his guard there. He came out really well and smothered that ball. There's a really good feel to this game. We did wonder what the legs might be like for Nottingham Forest after playing 120 minutes on Saturday. Manchester United have had such a prolonged break. but the tempo has been very good. It's been an enjoyable 18 minutes.
Yeah, the tempo has been good and it's been really competitive. I think you made a valid point there about the referees. Let a lot go so far in this game. There's been a couple of moans and groans from some of the Forest players. They think they could potentially have had some free kicks, but he's let a lot go for both sides.
Elanga now dangerously positioned, central position. Mazraoui, good challenge, and then skips away from Anderson, who tries to bring him down, but Mazraoui was strong, still going somehow. Aina in the way, and he passes responsibility back to his goalkeeper Matt Sells, all in a baby blue, a much lighter shade of blue than the Manchester United kit this evening. Dalot into the evening sky. Anderson's touch not as close as he would like. Fernandez, same for him. He's gifted it back to Anderson. Yates, Elanga, centre circle, and now all the way back to Murillo, directly to Danilo. Nottingham Forest, whenever they get the ball, they're looking to move it forward quickly and at pace, although the majority of players are behind the ball in this latest attack. Anderson through a little gap. Gibbs White with a little flick. Danilo with a patch of blonde hair. Gibbs White can't sort his feet out quickly. Casemiro dispossesses him. Xerxes back to Ugarte, who swings it out to this near side, the left. And Patrick Dorgu. Forest 1, Manchester United 0.
Yeah, I think there's opportunities for Forest to keep the ball in that midfield area. I think they can outnumber the Manchester United players in there. Because what you've got in the back line, you've got De Ligt, Yoro, and Mazraoui as a 3, and they're looking after one player in Awani. Now, when Elanga then drops in deep, he creates an overload in that midfield area. So I think there's opportunities for Forest to keep the ball better in that midfield area and cause Manchester United some problems with possession.
Lincoln take the lead against Huddersfield. Bristol Rovers have equalised against Birmingham City. That's in League One, and Newport lead Bromley by 1-0. Still Arsenal 0, Fulham 0 in the Premier League. Wolves 1, West Ham 0. Both of those 10 minutes away from half-time. 20 minutes played here on 5 Sports Extra, and Forest are leading Manchester United by 1-0 and are looking for more. Gibbs White to Danilo with the white wristband on his left arm. Yates and Gibbs White, they're going backwards at the moment of Forest, but they're keeping quite safe possession, and it's back over halfway into their own half. Milenkovic doesn't do Murillo any favours with a pacily hit pass. Murillo controls it well. Danilo finds a little gap. First time ball to Anderson, who was challenged well by De Ligt on the edge of his own penalty area. Ugarte has the freedom of the Manchester United half to find Dorgu, who's now coming in field from his left wing back home, and then all the way back to De Ligt, and Manchester United have to build slowly again from the back. And beaten in 4 are Manchester United, winning the last 2, so something of a little revival. They did beat Leicester before the international break, and that incredible statistic that they're looking for their first back-to-back wins in the league this season. We know it's been a bad season for Manchester United, Andy, but that stat really did jump off the page.
Yeah, it's not a great stat, and it's not good reading for Man United fans or for the players or the manager. But in any particular game, you know that they've got quality that can hurt teams, and they've shown that already in this game so far. So you always think that Man United can do something in a game. Whether they do it or not is a different story, but you always feel that there is quality there that can hurt the opposition.
They've not finished lower than 8th since 1990, and they're 13th at the moment, and games are running out if they are to change that statistic. It's all a little bit loose at the moment in midfield, hence the groans. Casemiro finds Yoro with a tidy piece of play. On it goes to Xerxes, 25 yards out, just to the right of the penalty area. Dalot can deliver. Fernandez was waiting to pull the trigger just inside the penalty area. Gibbs White can't get hold of that, and it's back with the blue shirts of Manchester United as they tick forward again from right to left. Garnacho up against Nico Williams. First time cross that Williams blocks well, and Yates can pick up the pieces on the edge of his own penalty area, but won't get the wrong side of Bruno Fernandes and wins a free kick. And given the type of skirmishes Jared Gillett has let go, I'm slightly surprised that one has been given. Yeah,
I am as well. Ryan Yates, is not customary for him to be dribbling out of his own back line, but he done well there. He kept going, he got his body in front, and the referee has given a foul against Bruno Fernandes. I was slightly surprised as well, considering the nature so far.
Arsenal lead against Fulham at the Emirates. Arsenal 1, Fulham 0. That's over on 5 Live right now. Mikel Merino, who needs a number 9 when you've got Mikel Merino in the Arsenal side. He's got a couple of goals now playing as that makeshift striker. Bukayo Saka back now, of course, for Arsenal, but only on the bench this evening. Arsenal 1, Fulham 0. Forest 1, Manchester United 0. And Forest looking dangerous again. The goal scorer Elanga up to the penalty area, onto his right foot, crowded for room. He was trying to repeat the trick, trying to get onto his right foot, but he found a blue wall in the way.
Well, it was sloppy pass from Bruno Fernandes. Forest midfield seized on it. Ryan Yates fed it out to Morgan Gibbs-White, who flicked it brilliantly out to Elanga. 1v1, Morgan Gibbs-White tries to go on the outside, and unfortunately from a Forest perspective they just couldn't get that shot off. But another dangerous moment, and the type of moments that Man United are going to have to be really wary of. They
trail by a goal to nil as Fernandes looks for the diagonal run of Garnacho. 24 minutes played at the City Ground. And you're with 5 Sports Extra from the BBC. Manchester United, who fell behind early, have monopolised the ball since then and dominated possession. No one is surprised at that, given the way Nottingham Forest have operated this season, but they are yet to seriously test Matt Sells. Bruno Fernandes had a long-range pop that was tipped wide, and he's also had a header that was straight at the goalkeeper, but nothing you would call particularly clear-cut, and they're being forced all the way back to the yellow-shirted Andre Onana.
Forest won't be phased at all by Man United having possession in and around where they are, but when it comes into the areas like Garnacho is on the ball now, they need to get close.
Yeah, finds a bit of space between midfield and attack, and he's heading towards the penalty area. Looked like he overran that. Yates got the challenge in and then was clattered into, and that will be a free kick to Forest just on the edge of their own penalty area. Garnacho overran the pass, or overran the run rather, and then in his desperation to try and win it back, clattered into Ryan Yates. As Andy mentioned a couple of moments ago, he's not one to go down easily, and I think he's got a nasty little clunk on the shin there.
Yeah, he has. He's just nicked in there. There was a heavy touch from Garnacho, and Ryan Yates does what he does brilliantly. He nipped in there, and Garnacho's just kind of come over the top there with a little bit of studs. I mean, I don't think there's anything malicious in it. I think he's just overran the ball. I think it's a free kick. I don't think it's anything more than that, but them ones can be sore when you just get clipped on the top of the ankle with the studs or blades, as most of them wear now. They can be quite sore,
and there's not much protection there, is there?
No, there's not. The shin pads
we've just seen a shot of Ryan Yates' shin pad and it's one of those that put Jack Grealish's shin pads to shame. That
it's right what you said. He's not one to stay down. He's a tough boy.
Yeah.
Sometimes he can go down easily enough, but he always jumps straight back up. And I think what we've just seen there is a perfect example of the amazing job that Ryan Yates does for the Nottingham Forest team.
Yeah, the Nottingham Forest captain playing just in front of the back four today for a Forest side that lead by a goal to nil. 26 minutes played. Ryan Yates will be okay, didn't need any treatment, and he's jogging back into position as Matt Sells prepares to take this free kick. Mansfield have equalised at home to Charlton in League 2. Mansfield 1, Charlton 1, and Cambridge United have equalised against Wrexham in League 1. That's bottom v third in League 1. Cambridge 1, Wrexham 1. Arsenal still lead Fulham by a goal to nil. Wolves still lead West Ham by a goal to nil, and Forest lead Manchester United by a goal to nil. So the three home sides 1-0 up in the three Premier League games this evening. Garnacho to Dalot, meanwhile, right hand side of the penalty area. That's another Manchester United corner. Well, they've patiently probed, haven't they? They've not played with the same blistering pace as Forest have, but they've created mini opportunities, and they tended to have ended up in corners.
The last probably 4 or 5 minutes we've seen Garnacho come into the game a little bit more. He's starting to pick up some pockets, and he's looked quite dangerous, so Forest will have to be alert to that.
The set piece taker in chief, Bruno Fernandes, on that far side, the Manchester United right, in towards Dalot, front post header, hits the bar, De Ligt at the back post, Sells makes a save, and Forest will clear, but the referee has seen an infringement. In fact, someone went barrelling into Sells as he made that save, so it's a Nottingham Forest free kick. But Manchester United hit the crossbar, Dallow's header, and then De Ligt at the back post actually had a very presentable chance to volley in the rebound, but didn't quite get the contact he craved.
Yeah, pretty much all the Man United corners so far, and I think there's been 3 or 4 of them have gone into that near post space. Dalot made a run across the front. He's got a good contact on it, and it looped up towards that back post, and Ola Aina was under the post, and he was thinking, is it going to drop in? It's popped up off the crossbar, back to De Ligt on his right foot, and he's not really made a clean contact on it. But Matt Sells has been really, really brave there. He came out against Lenny Yoro, who caught him, and he won his side a free kick. But some danger signs there for Forest. They're going to have to be alert. We mentioned that, and from corners so far is where Man United have looked most dangerous.
We can see the 2 managers down below us, the 2 Portuguese managers, 11 years between them, 40-year-old Ruben Amorim and Nuno Espirito Santo, who has quite the history with Manchester United, it's fair to say. He's faced Manchester United more than any other side in his managerial career. Got his first home win as Forest boss against Manchester United. He was sacked by Tottenham after playing Manchester United, and he was also on the bench for Porto when Porto beat Manchester United at Old Trafford, a game famed for Jose Mourinho's touchline celebration. He was the replacement substitute goalkeeper back in 2004.
Yeah, mate, you can tell what you've been doing the last couple of days.
There's nothing else to do. Sit in the sun and research Nuno. He's got his arms crossed below us in his blue tracksuit, long blue coat on. Ruben Amorim with his bright white trainers. 2 of the biggest technical areas you'll see at a Premier League ground, so both managers are comfortably separated, with the 4th official Sam Barrett in between them. Bit of a lull in the game, that's why I've rattled through all of my Nuno Espirito Santo statistics.
Yeah, just looking down at the pitch looks absolutely incredible. It was rebuilt 2 years ago, and you look at some of the pitches in the Premier League, they're absolutely fantastic, aren't they? The way the ball slids along.
And there's case in point, Casemiro smooth pass to the galloping Garnacho, edge of the Forest penalty area. Fernandes shaping up the shoot right-footed, and he did. Clattered into, I think, Yates again doing some defending. Dallow's ball into the penalty area. Meanwhile, Fernandes with a high boot collects the ball legally, says Jared Gillett. Garnacho now trying on the left-hand side of the penalty area onto his right foot. This will break for Ugarte. Dallow's on the overlap. Wasn't a great ball to him. Back to Garnacho, edge of the penalty area. Manchester United waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Casemiro, back post. Dorgu with Aina, and it's the Forest right back who wins that particular battle, and he sensibly, calmly plays it to the goal scorer Ilanga, who is then clipped by Mazraoui, and Forest have this free kick on the edge of their own penalty area, and they remain 1-0 to the good against Manchester United with 15 minutes of the first half to play. Yeah,
them ones there, you just look at Mazraoui, and he's fouled Anthony Ilanga. Anthony Ilanga was going towards his own goal, towards his own corner flag. He'd nowhere to go, he'd no real support there, and as a coach you would be shouting on, don't foul, and what does he do? He goes and fouls. Forest end up getting a free kick, and they can get themselves now 50-60 yards up the pitch. Silly play, really silly play.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing that really does grate on coaches and managers, and Ruben Amorim turns away disconsolately, points the way for his defenders as the ball is pumped long in the direction of Andre Onana's goal. This will be cleared by Dorgu, out of play for a Forest throw. Ruben Amorim, who has won just 6 of his 18 Premier League matches. Not much of the blame this season is placed at his door. A lot of the anger is at the owners and the Glazers in particular. We know there have been many protests. There's another protest planned for the Manchester derby that United will play against City this weekend. It's a club that has felt rudderless for the last 2 or 3 seasons, despite winning the FA Cup last season, but this campaign has not been one to remember. Ola Aina with a long throw into the penalty area, cleared, and this will be Xerxes that picks it up. Fernandes now skips towards the halfway and then runs into trouble. That was careless from the Manchester United skipper, but Mazraoui is there to help him out. Left-footed clearance downfield. Anderson will pick up the loose ball, and Aina will slow things down for Forest, and they can reload from Murillo inside his own half. Anderson turns away from Fernandes and was caught by Bruno Fernandes. He apologises to Anderson, the 2 number 8s together, and that'll be a free kick to Forest 7 or 8 yards into the Manchester United half. 13 minutes to play until half time. Forest still have that 1-goal lead.
Yeah, I think it's been an even enough game. I think in terms of chances, hasn't been loads of chances. There's been some good attacking play from both teams. Forest on that typical counter-attacking moments. Man United have had more possession, and other than the chance from the corner, haven't really fancied it. Haven't really kind of managed to create too much in the way of clear-cut opportunities.
So we laud Forest for their counter-attacking ability. Now they have a set piece which they're going to lump long into the box. Murillo towards the back post. Yates was there. Iwanyi ready to swivel and shoot first time until De Ligt got his foot in. And this is out of play for Nottingham Forest, first corner of the game.
Yeah, it was a deep free kick and Murillo has put it in with good pace. He's kind of pinged it into the box. There was good pace on it, good direction on it. And Man United, they looked nervous, they looked a little bit shaky from that. They couldn't clear the ball, and then it fell to De Ligt who just put it out for a corner when I felt maybe he could have got a better clearance on that.
They do have a weakness from set pieces to Manchester United, and corners in particular. This one's taken short now, delivered towards Milenkovic at the back post. His looping header was easy for Andre Onana in the Manchester United goal, and the blue shirts now swarm forward, hoping to hit Forest on the break. That's a good ball from Fernandes to Garnacho, who finds Nico Williams in the way. He uses Anderson to try and manoeuvre himself out of a difficult position, and he does that. And in fact, Anderson and Williams do ever so well in a left-back position. It's the kind of thing I imagine teams practice in training a lot, the old 2-on-1 situation. Get yourself out of danger and Forest can move forward again.
It was brilliant play by Nico Williams, who has been incredible recently for Forest. He's been really, really good. How he played his way out, him and Elliot Anderson, they walked the ball brilliantly well, got out of a really tight spot and went out the other side.
Started the last 15 Premier League games, Nico Williams. He is in excellent form. The two fullbacks for Forest have been very, very good this season. Ola Aina and all of his assists and all of his attacking ability. Nico Williams on that left-hand side as well. In fact, you can make a case for so many Forest players to be up for the end of season Player of the Year award. Don't fancy choosing a winner from that one. Here's Mazraoui for Manchester United, the gloved Mazraoui to Dorgu. Now Aina has gone down under little pressure there. I'm not sure anyone was near him, and you could just hear the groan, because we all know when that happens and there's no one near a player and they go down, it's not normally good news.
Yeah, that's not a good sign. Like you mentioned, you know, players tend not to go down if nobody's near them, and he's gone down there and he looks in a little bit of pain. I don't know if it's his ankle or the back of his knee. Can't quite see from this angle where the physios and the doctors are treating him at this moment.
Yeah, it looks like a left leg injury. So Ola Aina is receiving treatment, which allows all of the players to come across to this near side to receive some instructions and take some drinks on board as we see a replay of Anthony Elanga's goal. And the one thing that stands out, Andy, is and I'd love to see a stopwatch on when Elanga picked it up on the edge of his own penalty area to finishing it off, because it can't have been more than 4 or 5 seconds. It was a blistering attack.
No, he's got incredible pace. You know, it's a really, really top pace. He has to be one of the quickest players in the Premier League. You know, the way he gets the team up the pitch, the way he carries the ball, he's strong. His technical ability, left foot, right foot, he's able to go whichever side he wants to go, and he's so difficult to defend against. But you know, it's definitely a goal that you need to watch. You know, you definitely need to see it. The way he carries is so far up the pitch, and the Man United players, they can't touch him, they can't get close to him. The decision then comes, does he slip it to Morgan Gibbs-White? But I think the defenders made that decision for him. They kept backing off, gave him too much space, and with his left foot he just buried it in the bottom corner. Brilliant finish. And
from a Manchester United perspective, the frustration for Ruben Amorim will be that it's not as if that's a surprise. We've seen Forest do that all season. I know it's difficult when you're piling players forward for set pieces, but I'm sure part of his team talk would be, or his meetings in the week would have been, just be careful of that counter-attack.
Yeah, definitely. You know where Forest's strengths are. You know, you see the pace in the team, and you know, as we talk about that there, we see Moreno getting ready to come on, and I think it's the end of the night for Ola Aina. It looks like he's pulled his calf muscle, which is not great news for them.
So Ola Aina, who has been Mr. Reliable for Nottingham Forest, starting every Premier League game this season, is not going to finish this one, and Alex Moreno, the 31-year-old fullback on loan from Aston Villa, will be coming on to replace Ola Aina. So that's a significant blow for Nottingham Forest. He's gone straight down the tunnel, has Aina, and Alex Moreno is poised and ready to come on. Manchester United are building an attack meanwhile. Casemiro into the penalty area. He then goes down under a trailing leg, but there were no appeals from anyone. So play continues, and continues with De Ligt, who plays a short pass to Mazraoui onto Fernandes. First time ball to Casemiro, dead centre of the Nottingham Forest half as Manchester United kick from right to left. Ball into the penalty area from Dalot that had Xerxes and Dorgu challenging for the same ball. And that's out of play for a Manchester United throw, and we will see this change. Alex Moreno on for Ola Aina, and in fact we're going to see a double change because Morato is being readied. Now who would this be for, Andy Reid? Is Ryan Yates has got a knock they can't recover from, or Nico Williams?
Yeah, well, I think Nico Williams is coming across to right back. Alex Moreno has gone to left back. I'm not too sure what the next change is.
We're going to find out. It's for Danilo. So Danilo's game is over, and he's running off freely enough. So is this a tactical change?
Yeah, I think it's most definitely a tactical change. I think Nuno's probably looking at it and thinking, okay, we get another centre back on the pitch, we'll shore it up a little bit at the moment, and what you can do is soak up a little bit more pressure and then hit the teams again. This is not something that he hasn't done before. This is something that a tactic that they've used reasonably often. They've flipped from certain games where they've played with a back three, and he maybe feels the way the game has gone that it might be good to shore up that defensive area a little bit more.
Interesting. Dorgu with a square pass to Garnacho, who keeps the move going to that far side, the right. This is where Dalot is. He's coming back in field. Ugarte's dummy. Casemiro. There's plenty of space now for Garnacho. Right hand side of the penalty area. Dalot's ball in. Dorgu's header just a little bit too high for the left wing back, and Nottingham Forest can clear with Anthony Elanga, who's away easily from Casemiro, and now he's heading towards the edge of the Manchester United penalty area, but he's got plenty of blue shirts back at him, and three of them get back at him. Combination of Fernandes, Mazraoui and Casemiro, and that's out of play for a Nottingham Forest throw.
Again, what you see with Anthony Elanga is he gets you so far up the pitch really, really quickly. Forest have a throw in a lot further up the pitch. They can get themselves organised. Morato can get himself settled in now and see if they can then regenerate a little bit of possession. I'm just looking at that back three now, and what you will find out, especially with Morato, what we found is the game has drifted on a little bit, is Garnacho has started to drop off into them inside pockets. I think we will find Morato jumping into them inside pockets to really go tight on Garnacho and stop him from turning and running at the back line.
Ryan Yates and Bruno Fernandes have had a little tete-a-tete there. Very little in it, to be honest. Fernandes pushed Yates, who threw himself to the ground. Jared Gillett having none of that, so we'll have a brief stoppage in play while this is sorted out. Morato, the 23-year-old Brazilian, who has mainly been used off the bench this season, only started 4 Premier League games. But what you would say, Andy, and I'd appreciate the point you make, that you don't see many managers at 1-0 up 38 minutes into a game make that sort of tactical change.
Yeah, I think what we've seen with Nuno over the years when he's been at Wolves and even when he was at Tottenham as well, we've seen it here at Forest. He's not afraid to make a tactical change if he sees something that he wants to go for. If he sees something that he doesn't see as quite right, or that he's not happy with, then he changes it. And I quite like that from a manager. It shows a real strength of character, you know. I don't think it will change too much how Forest play or what they go about. It means they will just be pressing from a different area of the pitch. They will still be looking to hold a mid block. And they'll still be looking to turn over the ball in the middle of the park and see if they can break really, really quickly.
The voice of former Forest midfielder and Republic of Ireland international Andy Reid with us on 5 Sports Extra. So it's a back 3 against a back 3 now, with Morato, Murillo and Milenkovic for Forest. Nico Williams now the right wing back, having moved across, and Alex Moreno the left wing back, and that very much matches Manchester United with Mazraoui, De Ligt and Yoro there back 3, Dorgu and Dalot providing the width.
It's been a very bitty game the last probably 10-12 minutes, hasn't it? It's been a lot of broken play. There's been a lot of free kicks and throw-ins. We've had the injury, we've had the substitutions. There hasn't been much flow to the game over the last, say maybe 10-12 minutes, and I think that probably suits Forest with where they're at.
3 minutes to go until half-time. Nottingham Forest leading Manchester United by 1-0. And it is Manchester United in possession on halfway. Down goes Ugarte, and the referee says no free kick. It'll just be a Nottingham Forest throw on halfway. So as is the case, you can see a few of the punters file out into the concourse to get a half-time refreshment. It's proper old school, the City Ground, and the Peter Taylor stand that we are in, very much so, probably the oldest of the 4 stands here at the City Ground. So it's a proper old school concourse. There's not much room. If you want your half-time pie, you do have to get down pretty early.
We're athletes, we don't eat
Absolutely
them.
not. What were you offering before the game, by the way? What were those?
A couple of sweets.
They were nice, them. Forest 1, Manchester United 0. The Manchester United have a response before half-time as Rowie is coming forward. Fernandes with a loose touch and then fouls Yates. And it's not been Bruno Fernandes' night, has it? He's been integral to Manchester United this season, in particular the last few games, but that was a loose touch followed by an ill-advised retrieval of the ball, which led to this free kick to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, I don't know what he's moaning at. It's a free kick. He's kicked Ryan Yates' ankle. Ryan Yates has gone down, and there he is moaning. I think it's unnecessary from him.
Free kick taken, and De Ligt heads only to Elanga, but he can't do anything with that. Very close to the touchline on this near side. And Milenkovic can go all the way back to the orange-booted Matt Sells. Garnacho closing him down rapidly. Sells releases before Garnacho could get there. Dorgu's touch is decent for Manchester United. Now he sidles into Forest territory, near side the left, couple of yards in from the touchline. Garnacho can't get away from Williams, and Anderson wins the throw from Garnacho. Everything Manchester United are trying at the moment, Nottingham Forest have answers to.
Yeah, they do. Really good defending by Nico Williams. He hasn't watched the shapes that Garnacho has thrown. He moves his hips really well, Garnacho does. But Nico Williams has done really well. He stuck to his task. He's watched the ball and he's made a good tackle there. 6
minutes of additional time to play at the end of this first half. So plenty of stoppage time to deal with a couple of infringements, to deal with the Ola Aina substitution, and Ryan Yates had a spell down as well. And we might have another stoppage here because Elanga and De Ligt have clashed in the centre of the Manchester United half. Free kick has gone Forest way, and both players are still on the ground. Iwonyi actually and De Ligt.
Yeah, it looked like Iwonyi just caught the side of De Ligt's arm there as he's gone up the challenge for it, but as De Ligt has landed, it looked like he landed awkwardly on his ankle, and it's just turned to the outside. Them ones can be pretty sore, and you need to kind of keep them moving. They stiffen up if you stop, and
yeah.
You know it'll be a nasty one at half time. It'll be interesting to see how he comes out in the second half.
It's a clumsy challenge from De Ligt, who thought he could get there in front of Iwonyi, who hasn't seen much of the ball, Teo Iwonyi. In fact, his touch map, I imagine, will not have many on it.
Yeah, but he uses his body so well in them situations.
Elanga short to Gibbs White, better angle for a deep delivery to the back post. Milenkovic wins it, Morato heads it! Onana saves it. Not enough pace on the header from Morato. It was difficult to generate any power because the Milenkovic header across didn't have any, but it needed saving because I fancy that was dropping in.
Yeah, it was a loopy one. I think it was comfortable enough for Onana in the end. It was kind of looping up, and it just looked a little bit awkward. He was going to jump into the post as he went to claim it.
De Ligt to Yoro. We played a minute and 45 seconds of the 6 added on. Ruben Amorim is very close to the edge of his technical area, having a little word with the fourth official, waving his players forward. De Ligt is at walking pace now, almost stops the ball. In fact, the ball is stationary right in the heart of the Manchester United half. The long head Yoro, long head bobbing back and forth as he makes his way forward. All of this still inside the Manchester United half, now rolled into Forest territory. Dalot far side the right, close to the touchline. Yoro again infield. Garnacho can't get there, but Yoro in front of Iwonyi to make sure Manchester United still have the ball, and it's with Casemiro, who comes through halfway and through the centre circle, offloaded to Yoro, who can come forward again. Manchester United are not throwing great pace at this attack. Casemiro then with a rather hopeful ball in the general direction of Xerxes, and that needs to be hit with a little more accuracy from Casemiro, who then apologises to this near side. I fancy he's probably apologising to his manager, who has his hands on his hips, because I don't think that's part of the game plan.
Yeah, it was really poor from Casemiro. He was free, there was nobody near him, and he's just hooked it around the corner to absolutely nobody, and the Forest defence just mopped it up.
Iwanyi using that strength Andy was talking about, but his layoff went to a blue shirt. Ugarte, that's a clever touch from Xerxes, and Garnacho is onside here, but immediately closed down by 3 Forest players, and it was Milenkovic, I think, in the end, who got back to Garnacho before he could make any meaningful progress.
That was brilliant from Milenkovic. He read it so well. He's a right-hand side centre back, and he stepped across and made a brilliant tackle. And so strong. And
here he comes, showing his fancy footwork as he strides over halfway until he runs into Dorgu, who can play it all the way back to Andre Onana. He's another one, Nikola Milenkovic, who's had a fabulous Nottingham Forest season, 4 goals, so he's contributed at the other end of the pitch as well, but since making his debut in September he's played every single minute for Nottingham Forest. The Serbian centre-back Elanga fouls Casemiro, much to the annoyance of the Forest fans, and Manchester United have this free kick with 2 minutes of stoppage time in the first half to play.
You're right when you talk about Milenkovic. He's been incredible for Forest this season. The way he complements Murillo in that back line, they're almost complete opposites in terms of style. He's very much an old school defender. He loves defending, heading, tackling, position. You can see his leadership skills, his organisation, and he complements Murillo's brilliant technical ability.
Manchester United, with 90 seconds of the first half to play, are doing what they've done throughout this game, and that is building very methodically and not with any great venom, as Yoro swings a diagonal to this near side, the left. Dorgu controls just outside the Forest penalty area. Here's Fernandes, closed down by Yates. He's done that man-marking job admirably as Ryan Yates. Bruno Fernandes has had little to no space to operate, and the play all the way back into the Manchester United half, and very deep in the Manchester United half. Yoro, as we enter the final minute of stoppage time. Ugarte with his back to goal, prodded to Casemiro, another long ball. This one is better. Dallo is the wrong side of Moreno momentarily. Back to Garnacho on the edge of the penalty area. Can this turn into an opportunity for Manchester United? Fernandes to Dorgu, just inside the box. Back out of the box, and Fernandes. Casemiro will drive wide. And one of those that probably was comfortably wide, but from our angle always looks pretty close. But I think the cheers from the Trent end will show that it was 4, 5, 6 yards wide.
Yeah, he struck it well. Really clean strike, and it's one of them that if it does get on target, it can really cause Matt Sells some problems. But from a Manchester United point of view, it just went wide. It's probably what they've been held to having shots from distance. They haven't really been able to penetrate Forest back line. They haven't really been able to create many chances in and around the Forest penalty area. It's all been from distance.
And that is why the scoreline at half-time at the City Ground is Nottingham Forest 1, Manchester United 0. Anthony Elanga, the former Manchester United player, finishing off a blistering counter-attack. It was a counter-attack that he started and a counter-attack that he finished, taking it from the edge of his own penalty area, from one box to the other, left foot finish into the bottom corner. And the game has gone as we expected. Forest do look dangerous on the counter-attack. Manchester United with most of the ball, but are not doing a great deal with it. Their best opportunities have come from range. Bruno Fernandes early on testing Sells, a header that was straight at the goalkeeper, and at the back post De Ligt with a volley after Diego Dallo had hit the bar from a corner. But there's not been much for Manchester United, and as it stands, Nottingham Forest are completing the league double over Manchester United. That'll be the first time since 91-92. Still a half to go, but Andy Reid, Nottingham Forest will be very satisfied with their half, and Manchester United not so.
Yeah, I agree with what you've just said there. There's still a long way to go in this game. You know, Forest are up at the moment and they have the advantage, but you know, Manchester United have shown that they can penetrate, that they can get into some dangerous areas. What they need to figure out, Man United, is they need to figure out how to create a final opportunity. Is that final pass, like what's that final shot? How can they get into a better area to trouble Matt Sells' goal? And Forest, it's been a typical good performance from them. They've defended really well. They've been resolute. They've been very, very organised. They've looked really dangerous on the counter. Even the goal that they scored was really good, but they've had some couple of other opportunities where they've broken, looked really dangerous. So as the game wears on and Manchester United start to come forward, there could be more of them opportunities for Forest, but there's still loads to play for in this game. It's very evenly balanced.
It is. Manchester United have enjoyed most of the ball, but they need to be a little bit more clinical in front of goal. Just creating a few chances would be a good start for Ruben Amorim, who is concocting his half-time team talk. And as for Manchester United, and you look at the bench and it looks stronger than it has done in recent weeks. Rasmus Højlund is on it, Mason Mount is on it, Christian Eriksen as well. Clearly they're still without a couple of their first team players, but options there for Ruben Amorim. But what will he want to see a bit different from his side, do you think, in this second half?
Just a little bit more penetration. You know, we've seen Garnacho get on the ball in some okay areas. He's come into that inside right channel and he's looked to turn and run at the Forest defence. Now when he just hasn't had the quality as of yet to be able to pick somebody out or to be able to get that final shot off or to slip someone in. So a little bit more, be more incisive, I think will be the message that's coming from Amorim. Like you say, they've got a strong bench. I've looked at the bench in recent times and there's been a lot of young players on, which I suppose is good in some ways, but they'll be pleased to have some of their more experienced players, some of their more technically gifted players come back into the squad. And when it does come the time to change, they'll have quality to bring onto the pitch, that's for sure.
Okay, Andy, for now, thank you very much indeed. Back with us for the second half. Nottingham Forest leading Manchester United by 1-0, and we will be back with the second half on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra in the next 10 minutes or so. And in the meantime, we shall hand you back to 5 Live with Arsenal against Fulham a couple of minutes into the second half.
High up into the stand, and another chance goes begging for Arsenal.
So at the top of League One, the leaders are being held. Second place Wrexham are losing. Wycombe still drawing against bottom of the table Shrewsbury. In League Two, Doncaster and Walsall drawing. Port Vale leading second place Bradford City by 2-0. We'll keep you in touch. We're reaching the business end of the season, I think is how it can be referred to at this stage of a campaign.
Yeah, we're in the last furlong of the race, aren't we?
Talking of which, the Grand National on Saturday, Mark Chapman will present 5 Live Sport live from Aintree as Raul Jimenez darts forward into space and shoots, beaten away by the goalkeeper, and the loose ball cleared away by Lewis Skelly before Smith Rowe, the former gunner, could get onto it. That was a powerful drive by the Mexican, but David Raya, the first real save he's had to make all night, was equal to it.
It was actually a poor save, Deno, because he pushes it right out towards a penalty spot, doesn't he? And if there's a Fulham player arriving there, luckily for him, it's Lewis Skelly who's alert to the danger and sweeps it to safety.
But looking at it, he dived to his right. It must have come off sort of like the heels of his hand for it to go off in the direction that it did.
Yeah, it went back across, didn't it, and into the what you would call danger area. You'd rather he pushed that out for a corner into safety, pushed it back into relative trouble. But like I say, his young left back was on hand.
And a yellow card has just been shown to Joachim Andersen, the Fulham defender. So he has received the first yellow card of the night. Stockport County 2, Stevenage 0, and Crawley 3, Peterborough United 3. The goal fest continues in Sussex.
We're at the wrong place.
I don't know. Probably even colder at Crawley.
True.
8 minutes into the second half. BBC Radio 5 Live, BBC Sounds. 5 Live final score on the iPlayer, the red button on the website. We're on air until 10:30. And it'll be Tony Livesey with Late Night Livesey on 5 Live. Here is Lewis Skelly being pursued by Castagna. Just feel that Arsenal need a second goal.
Yes, definitely. I'm just actually, I refer to the Fulham subs, I'm just looking at, and Arsenal subs are down there now, and it's attacking as well. Sterling, Trossard, and that man Saka warming up.
Ødegaard caught late by Lukic. The referee though has played the advantage. Here is Moreno, and Ødegaard is back to his feet. Moreno edge of the area, cut out by Anderson, laid off then by Partey. Arsenal are passing the ball a little quicker. The tempo feels sharper early in the second half as they lead by 1-0. Martinelli waits. He teases his man Lukic and then delivers a cross. Partially cleared, partly off the chest, took it away from the penalty area. Back towards Saliba. Timber. They've certainly stepped it up second half. Here is Ødegaard, more involved, lovely ball back. Timber's vicious effort, stopped by the goalkeeper, who I think has been winded. Such was the ferocity of the shot against his chest. He can't get up, he can't get off the floor. But what a delightful ball that was through from Ødegaard.
He was. They just went through the gears, this Arsenal team, didn't they? They started moving the ball with a little bit more fluidity, and he just flicks it, Ødegaard, into Timber's path. Timber doesn't think twice, hits it as hard as he can, tries to beat the Fulham goalkeeper with power. But again, Deno, if there's a number 9 on the field, just plays it across the 18-yard box and it's a goal.
That would have rattled the rib cage, would it not?
Well, judging him being winded, I think it has.
Update from Wolves, Lee Blakeman.
Wolves 1, West Ham 0. Wolves with a great chance for a second goal. Bellegarde picking the ball up 25 yards out, took it to the edge of the penalty area, tried the curler just wide of the top corner. Listening to you two talk about the cold weather, they're freezing here in the Midlands tonight. Wolves 1, West Ham 0.
Yeah, but some of us came prepared, Lee. Some of us. Accrington 1, Fleetwood 1, Swindon Town 0. AFC Wimbledon 1 is the latest score. Now, Wimbledon were 5th this morning in the table, so they were only 2 points off an automatic promotion spot, Port Vale, but Port Vale are leading, so it's building up rather nicely. And Blackpool are leading Reading by 1-0. Reading, who've got issues off the field, but on the field going very, very well, unbeaten in 11. They've ploughed into a playoff position, but have fallen behind to Steve Bruce's side there at Bloomfield Road, and there are no other goals to tell you about. But Leno is back to his feet, and play should resume very, very soon. 10 minutes into the second half. Mentioned the Grand National on Saturday. Crystal Palace, Brighton will, the first half will be on 5 Live, and then from half time really, because the race is at 4, we'll focus all our attention on the Grand National. So the second half will be on Sports Extra, and then Aston Villa Forest at 5:30 after Sports Report. So much live football and sport indeed to look forward to on 5 Live this week. Not to mention on Friday night, England's women against Belgium in the Nations League too. Robinson infield. This now is with Smith Rowe. Back to Anderson. Harrogate Town have got a second goal against Tranmere Rovers. Harrogate Town 2, Tranmere Rovers 0 is the latest score in League 2. Berger to Smith Rowe, hits it first time, lifts it over the top, and will run through towards David Raya. Now, the last we heard from Sahel at the Abbey Stadium, Wrexham were behind. There's been another goal. Sahel.
It's turning out to be a classic. Wrexham are back level. It's Cambridge 2, Wrexham 2. A gallop down the right hand side from Cleworth. He chipped it into the penalty area, and it was Sam Smith. He diverted it back where it came from. Cambridge 2, Wrexham 2.
And that'll be a case of as you were for that second automatic promotion spot behind Birmingham, who are still drawing at Bristol Rovers by 1-1, as Lukic has just been booked for a foul on Lewis Skelly. It was a good run from defence too, wasn't it, by the England international?
It was, yeah, just persistent pulling, wasn't it, on Lewis Skelly. Wouldn't quite let him get away. He actually wriggles free of him, and it's Diop that wins the ball, but the referee pulls it back, rightfully so, for a free kick to Arsenal. It's Ødegaard and Martinelli on it on the left hand side here.
It's over 25 yards out from goal. It's probably about 12-13 yards in from the left touch line, as Arsenal in their red and white shirts play from right to left as we look high up here on the gantry in the main stand at the Emirates Stadium. And Fulham have got every purple shirt back.
Yeah, there's 9 Fulham players in a row, and then all the Arsenal players on the end.
And now they make that run in behind the Fulham line as Ødegaard, now they intermingle. Ødegaard, and it comes Saliba. He's headed just over the top. It'll be a goal kick.
Big chance. Just needs to redirect that ball. I don't think he quite gets above it to be able to steer it back on target. Too much height, sails over the top of Leno's goal.
Barnsley have equalised at Oakwell. Barnsley 1, Exeter City 1, and Blackpool have got a second goal as they now lead Reading by 2-0 in League 1. We've been playing now for nearly an hour. Leno clears long. Saliba leaping right of the centre circle, heads it to Smith Rowe. Now with Castagna. Lukic back towards Diop once again.
Just as we approach that 60-minute mark that we often see in the Premier League, game's starting to open up, Deno.
Well, for Fulham at the moment, they have got a number of substitutes warming up and waiting to come on into the fray. Here is Partey.
I think more weight in the warming up than was. They're all just stood still looking at the field of play.
They were watching what they would hope would be a Fulham attack, but it didn't materialise. And now Ødegaard will pass the ball forward to Martinelli, who waits for it to reach his right foot. Now he cuts in off that left touchline. Castagna backpedals, and then Lewis Skelly helps him out. But Castagna was watchful, went to ground, put the challenge in, rolls behind for a corner kick. We know about the threat of Arsenal at set pieces. Tranmere Rovers have reduced the arrears in North Yorkshire. Harrogate Town 2, Tranmere Rovers 1 is the latest score in League 2, as Declan Rice will jog across to this near side the left to take the corner kick. Wolves are still ahead against West Ham by 1-0. Forest 1, Manchester United 0 was the half-time score in the 8 o'clock kick-off. That's on Sports Extra. Here on 5 Live and the BBC Sounds app, Arsenal still lead 1-0. Left arm goes aloft for Declan Rice. He waits, puts it down, hits it right-footed, goes deep towards the far post, headed goalwards. It was Martinelli who just waited. Nobody had picked him up, and it was blocked and behind for another corner.
Well, he actually stoops, doesn't he? And he does really well to read this Martinelli, because it loops over from his left-hand side, and Thomas Partey gets up really high, blocks his view completely, manages to get it back on target, and it's actually blocked by Cuenca.
We're on Saka watch as well tonight, and he's just warming up now.
Oh, I think that might have slipped him off.
And welcome back to the City Ground on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. Nottingham Forest 1, Manchester United 0 is the half-time score, and the second half is not too far away. We still have several substitutes warming up, and some in more advanced stages than others. In particular, Rasmus Højlund is already in match shirt, shorts and socks for Manchester United, so you fancy he is going to come on as Manchester United rejoin the pitch, led out by Bruno Fernandes. Alex Moreno for Nottingham Forest was also out there. He came on in that first half because of Ola Aina's injury. So I think just getting some energy back into the legs, and Forest are on their way out as well. Andy Reid, former Nottingham Forest midfielder, alongside. No surprise that Rasmus Højlund is being introduced to Manchester United. They lacked that clinical attacking edge up front.
Yeah, I think they did. You know, we mentioned that leading up to half-time, and then as we went into half-time when we were summarising, they lacked a bit cutting edge. They lacked that kind of final action, that real quality on the final action. So it's no surprise to see Højlund coming on. It'll be interesting to see the kind of the reshuffle or what way it works. But I think what you'll find with Højlund, he'll become a real focal point. He'll walk kind of the central area of the pitch. He'll try and run in behind when he can. He's a powerful, strong boy. So the Forest defence will be wary enough of him coming on.
And it's Manuel Ugarte who is coming off for Manchester United, so that'll mean a little shuffle somewhere. Presumably Joshua Zirkzee will move out of the way so Rasmus Højlund can play through the middle. We'll see how that develops.
What you might find happen here as well is that there'll be more space in them central areas for Forest, and if they can get hold of the ball and they can link, you know, you'll probably see Fernandes dropping a little bit deeper to play close enough to Casemiro, and you know, if Anderson and Gibbs White and Ryan Yates can outnumber them two in the middle of that park, then it could be good for Forest.
So under the backdrop of another rendition of Mola Kintyre, the second half gets underway at the City Ground with Nottingham Forest leading by 1-0. Anthony Elanga's 5th minute wonder goal, as it was in the end, running from the edge of his own penalty area to the other and finishing well. Forest now kicking from right to left as we watch from the Peter Taylor stand, so away from the Bridgeford stand towards the Trent End. Red shirts, white shorts, red socks. Referee gets a very early touch. He brought it down nicely actually in the middle of the Manchester United half. Drop ball that Manchester United will take, and United in their blue shirts, blue shorts, white and blue socks, going from left to right, and will need a little bit more in this second half. Yoro over halfway, and now Dorgu, far side the left, receives from Xerxes, who does look like he's gone out wide on the left to allow Hoyland to play through the middle. I'll run you through the revised 11s when there is the first break in play.
Yeah, I think with Xerxes, he's just dropped into that inside left position, so he's not fully out wide. He's just dropping into that position and trying to put that pressure.
Hoyland's first touch is to find Garnacho, gets it back from the Argentine, and Hoyland's first time shot is out of play for a goal kick, despite the remonstrations from the Manchester United players. In fact, the referee has changed his mind. I think the assistant probably had a word in his ear to say that's a corner, and I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was, but I don't think the linesman knew that. I think he was I don't know how he didn't see it, but he looked really unsure of whether that was a corner or not.
Darren Cann is the assistant on this near side, one of the more experienced assistant referees in this country. So another Manchester United corner. They were dangerous from corners in the first half. They hit the bar from one, Diogo Dalot, and Fernandes has one hand and one arm in the air. Will deliver now into the crowd of players, headed goalwards. This time by, is it Casemiro again, maybe Dalot again. No power on the header, and Sells makes a comfortable save at the front post.
Yeah, it's that near post corner though. Bruno Fernandes, it's brilliant accuracy. I mean, he puts it really wherever he wants. It's a lovely little clip ball. I still just feel from an attacking point of view there that he's too far across the front post. It's the same as the Fernandes one in the first half. He's too far across the front post to be able to get any good connection on it.
Awonyi in the Manchester United penalty area, the beneficiary of a couple of ricochets. Yates on the spin, first time volley that cannons off a Manchester United player, and out of play for a Nottingham Forest corner. So just like the start of the game, which was very energetic and very pacey, it's been a similar beginning to the second half with another corner in quick succession, this time for Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, it was Taiwo Awoniyi doing what he does best, making a nuisance of himself. He gets his body in, makes a difference. The ball ends up dropping to Ryan Yates, who swings, and it looked like it was a decent strike, potentially going on target. Took a deflection, and now it's Manchester United, who haven't looked very, very secure from set pieces, have to defend the corner now,
which will be taken by the goal scorer Anthony Elanga, far side the Forest right. He too has one arm in the air, delivers right footed, headed away, 6-yard box. Williams picks it up on the edge of the Manchester United penalty area. Elanga, better delivery, Yates' header, brilliant save. Onana at the front post, and the flag up on that far side anyway, so it might not have counted. VAR would of course had a look, but Elanga's second delivery was pinpoint. That was a fine save from Onana.
Yeah, it was the second phase. First corner got defended well from Man United. Second phase, Nico Williams latches onto the ball, gives it out to Elanga, who takes one touch and he whips a brilliant ball in. I think Ryan Yates was just coming back from an offside position and didn't get himself back onside quick enough, and it was a good decision from the linesman there.
Yeah, it was a long way offside, Ryan Yates. There wouldn't have been any VAR controversy had that one gone in. It remains Nottingham Forest 1, Manchester United 0. That's an errant layoff from Xerxes straight to Moreno. Anderson, square pass to Gibbs White, base of the centre circle. Yates now has the overlapping Williams. He was caught late there, and Casemiro, the guilty party, is the recipient of a yellow card. He definitely caught Yates as the ball went, and Casemiro's got to be a little careful here because he's continuing his remonstrations with the referee, who's already giving him the yellow card. He was fairly heftily late on Ryan Yates.
Yeah, and it's the same as Fernandes in the first half. I think there's a degree of arrogance there. It's a blatant foul. I think everybody could see that. Ryan Yates has passed the ball first. Casemiro's come through him, and then he gets up and he's shouting at the referee. He's in the referee's face. I think that's really, really poor behaviour from him. I think it's completely unnecessary when it was a blatant free kick.
And he goes into Jared Gillett's notebook, does the 32-year-old. So this free kick is closer to the edge of the centre circle than it is the edge of the penalty area, but dead centre of the Manchester United half. Murillo, two arms in the air to buck the trend, dinks the ball in fairly meekly actually. Fernandes heads that away comfortably. Garnacho, not great clearance, straight to Gibbs White, who's into the penalty area. Left foot shot, Gibbs White always rising, and into the second tier of the Trent end behind Andre Onana's goal.
Well, Nico Williams had made a brilliant run on the outside, and it was almost a decoy. Morgan Gibbs-White is cut inside on his left foot, which we know it's not his strongest one. I was fully expecting him to curl it towards that far corner there, but he didn't quite connect with it.
Morecambe have a second against Cheltenham in League 2. Morecambe 2, Cheltenham 0. Burton Albion have turned it around against Leyton Orient, now leading by 2-1. In the Premier League, still Arsenal, Wolves and Forest here with 1-goal advantages over Fulham, West Ham and Manchester United respectively. Manchester United building from the back. Mazraoui has it down the line to Xerxes. Thought about going infield to Casemiro. That avenue was blocked, and then Mazraoui challenged by Iwanyi. That's what you want to see from your centre forward, and an opportunity finally, because it's been a breathless 6 minutes of the second half, to run you through the two sides. Sells in goal for Forest, who did make 2 changes in that first half, with Ola Aina injured and then Danilo taken off tactically. So Sells in goal. It's now Morato, Milenkovic and Murillo the back 3, with Williams and Moreno the 2 wing backs, Anderson, Yates, Gibbs-White, Elanga and Iwanyi. Here come Manchester United with Dorgu. That's not a good pass, didn't look Dorgu. Try to find Casemiro, straight to Gibbs-White, and now Elanga with the black headband and the red base layer heading towards the Manchester United box. Step over, left-footed cross, that was the plan, although he dummies onto his right foot, plays it backwards of square. Yates' first touch wasn't great, and he just had to hurry the pass to Williams on that far side, the right, very close to the corner flag. Williams against Dorgu, and that's out of play for a Forest throw in the right wing position.
Yeah, lovely central combination play from Gibbs-White and from Anthony Elanga. A little 1-2. Anthony Elanga gets running at that back line, and that's where he becomes really, really dangerous.
The Manchester United lineup imminently. We'll see how this Nottingham Forest attack develops. It's very close to the corner flag on that far side, the right, as Forest go from right to left. Williams up against Dorgu, who used his strength against Nico Williams. The fans don't like it, but the referee, and more pertinently actually the assistant referee, very close to it. And no free kick given. Instead, Nottingham Forest have this throw. So the Manchester United team, Onana is the goalkeeper, Yoro, De Ligt and Mazraoui make up the back 3. Dalot and Dorgu the wing backs. Casemiro, Garnacho, Fernandez, Xerxes, and now Højlund, who came on for Ugarte at half-time. Nottingham Forest 1, Manchester United 0. BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra from a vibrant City ground. Gibbs-White, Yates combined. That wasn't the plan. Gibbs-White got in the way of a ball that was meant instead for Williams, but no harm done for Forest. And Morato to Moreno, and Morato will think about going all the way back to Sells, but that path was blocked as well, and it drops out of play for a Manchester United throw.
I think Forest will be pretty happy with the start that they've made to the second half. You know, they put Man United on the back foot. You know, they've got some opportunities in and around there without creating any clear-cut chances. They've kind of put them on the back foot.
Bromley have equalised in League 2 against Newport County at Rodney Parade. Newport 1, Bromley 1. Casemiro into the centre circle. Garnacho has a little bit of space in which to frolic, and he finds Dorgu left-hand angle of the penalty area up against Williams. Didn't look as he played it behind Garnacho, and Nottingham Forest can move away from danger in their own penalty area. It's been a couple of moments like that for Manchester United, where a little bit more care needed in those attacking positions.
Yeah, absolutely, because we know that that's where Forest come alive, and you know, a couple of sloppy passes from Dorgu, and there's been one from Garnacho, and the turnovers of play, and Forest break forward
as they're doing now. Gibbs-White, a couple of yards outside the penalty area, slows the tempo right down. The onus not on Nottingham Forest to attack with this 1-goal lead. They'd love a second goal, however, to give themselves something of a cushion. Gibbs-White with some good feet to get away from Casemiro, and then plays it infield to Anderson. Nice triangle. Moreno thought about crossing first time, delayed, and then played it into a penalty area. They didn't have too many red shirts. Anderson on the edge. That's too close to the goalkeeper, Andre Onana. Was hoping to find Williams at the back post, but far too close to the goalkeeper.
Yeah, good play by Forest, good passage of play, played some really good football, really good link play. Elliot Anderson, as you mentioned, he was looking for Nico Williams at that back post, and he just got too much curl on the ball. Maybe a straighter pass, a bit more of a lofted one, would have been the one to get Nico Williams in at that back post.
Charlton going well in League 1 are in front at Field Mill against Mansfield. Mansfield 1, Charlton 2, Harrogate 3, Tranmere 1, and Bukayo Saka has just scored for Arsenal on his return. What an introduction back into the fold for Bukayo Saka, off the bench following that lengthy injury layoff to score at the Emirates, and Arsenal now lead by 2-0. That game over on BBC Radio 5 Live. And in League 2, Harrogate now 3-1 up at home to Tranmere. Hoyland has not seen too much of the ball since his half-time introduction, but he's on the ball now inside the Forest box. Hopes for a little bit of help from Dallow. Instead, Murillo steps in, and now Gibbs White in the centre of the Forest half is then clipped right on the base of the centre circle by Casemiro, who has already been booked, and the fans, you can hear, would like another yellow card. I'm not sure he's going to get one, because at the moment he's lying on the floor because he's hurt himself, and Morgan Gibbs White just goes to see how he is. Maybe that was an accidental clash.
Yeah, I don't think there was too much in it. I think Casemiro's just come. Both of them have tried to win the ball, but Morgan Gibbs White has just nicked it just before, and they've collided into each other. I think the referee's made the decision right. I think it is a free kick because Morgan Gibbs White has nicked the ball forward and he's collided with Casemiro, but I think nothing more than that. Having said that, it's a free kick that he's given away. He's already booked, and he's going to have to be careful. It wouldn't surprise me if Amorim was starting to look at a possible change there.
It wouldn't surprise you, would it? In fact, someone is being called back as we speak. Mason Mount warming up would be an obvious replacement in midfield, so too Christian Eriksen. Forest 1, Manchester United 0. Dorgu attacking, left wing back position, level with the edge of the penalty area. Well challenged by Williams, and it will be a throw to Manchester United. So Christian Eriksen looks like he's got the call. He's well wrapped up at the minute. Baseball cap, gloves. It's not that chilly. It certainly has been colder in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And when he does come on, it'll be Manchester United appearance number 100, so a nice personal milestone for Christian Eriksen. Manchester United have the ball, but they're not doing a great deal with it. De Ligt is on halfway. He's got Mazraoui right hand side of the centre circle. He angles one towards Dallow. Moreno's back header wasn't great. Dallow inside the box onto his right foot. Now Casemiro to bend one into that back post. Dorgu arrives, only drops to Garnacho. Garnacho's effort, couple of yards over the top. Everyone knew what he was trying. The right foot bender into the top corner. He struck it well enough, but a couple of yards over.
Yeah, it was a good ball into the box by Casemiro, and Nico Williams has defended really well. He's won the header, but as he's won the header, the ball has trickled then out to Garnacho at the back post, and Nico Williams couldn't get out there quick enough, which allowed Garnacho to come inside on his right foot, straight to curl it, set it off the outside of the post and just drift in, and he just got too much on it.
The booze for Casemiro, who comes off in one of the more obvious substitutions you'll see, and Christian Eriksen comes on for Manchester United appearance number 100, and that was a decision Ruben Amorim took to prevent his side playing with 10 men, because it felt like it was coming. Not because Casemiro was being particularly aggressive, but there were a couple of late challenges. The younger legs around him were getting the better of him.
Yeah, I think we've seen that a few times over the last probably year or 18 months. You know, he's struggled at times to really get in and amongst it. He's given away free kicks.
Xerxes gives another one away. I've lost count of the number of errant passes Xerxes has played in his second half. And as Moreno now comes forward for Forest, he's away from Mazraoui. He's got Iwanyi to his left. Moreno's then caught as he made his way into the box. Iwanyi continues. Fernandez in the way, and that's out of play for a corner, but the Forest fans and a couple of the players are asking the question. Not that the referee can do much because it was outside of the penalty area.
No, but I think what they're complaining about is that Dallow has just clipped Moreno's heels as he's ran through there. He was running into the box and it was really blatant, really obvious, and I think they're just wondering, is it a booking for Dallow? It was pretty cynical.
Tranmere have a goal back against Harrogate. Harrogate 3, Tranmere 2 in League 2, and Chesterfield 1, Carlisle 0 is the latest score from League 2. Another Forest corner which Alanga stands over near side the left, driven in with pace. De Ligt heads it away almost as quickly as it came in. Moreno's cushion touch to find Williams, who thought about pumping it straight back in, does it on the second time of asking. Milenkovic was lurking. Xerxes with some nice feet to clear the ball for Manchester United, but the reprieve is only temporary. The red shirts still have it with Yates and Williams far side the right, a couple of yards in from the touchline, and sensibly Forest go all the way back to halfway in order to keep hold of the ball. Moreno in field, Gibbs White now towards the edge of the penalty area. Iwanyi didn't really get that under control, never looked like controlling it. A couple of touches that bounced off him, but Forest can't do a great deal with the clearance, or rather Manchester United can't, and they've given it straight back to Forest. Elanga, level with the edge of the Manchester United box on this left-hand side. Early ball in that ricochets off first Dalot and then Mazraoui, and he can move the ball out of play. Yates then catches Fernandez, and that won't be a yellow card. And I think Ryan Yates is a little bit fortunate there, because if he clipped Fernandez, which it looked like he did, then we've seen yellow cards given for less.
Yeah, I think Fernandez can't have too many complaints. He's got away with a couple himself. I think what the referee is saying is that I think Fernandez has probably made the most of that. He has clipped him, but it's probably more the position that if Fernandez gets away from him, then it might be a dangerous situation.
Manchester United meanwhile building far side the left. Eriksen, his first involvement in the game is to find Garnacho on the edge of the penalty area. Need to see a bit more from Alejandro Garnacho, you feel, if Manchester United want to get back into this game. Near side the right now, it's Dalot with his manager right on top of him, pointing the way. The Nottingham Forest fans now doing their bit, the majority seated, Manchester United fans all standing behind the goal to our right. Yoro now tiptoes forward, plays it back to Eriksen, points the way for his players. It's all very static in front of him, however. Dorgu and Garnacho. This move hasn't really progressed into a too threatening position for United. It's Yoro and Eriksen now exchanging passes. Dorgu is then bundled to the floor by Milenkovic, but fairly, says the referee. And here come Nottingham Forest again. It's with Iwonyi, who wanted to go forward, and I think the fans wanted him to go forward as well. Well, there wasn't a great deal in front of him, so it went back to Williams, and now Gibbs-White, who turns away from Garnacho. And the onus isn't necessarily on Forest to do that they can keep possession and keep control of the scoreline as they're doing.
Yeah, most definitely. I think Awani there, he was looking for that forward pass. It wasn't quite on, so there's no harm in coming back out, retaining possession and looking to try and build again. Exeter
in front at Oakwell against Barnsley in League One. Barnsley 1, Exeter 2. Nuno Espirito Santo deep in conversation with one of his coaching staff, plotting their next move, wondering what is next, and someone is being summoned here. Is that Jota Silva being ready? It's Nico Dominguez, yeah. The midfielder Nico Dominguez, who did start against Brighton in the FA Cup quarter-final, will be coming on with 63 and a bit minutes played at the City Ground. BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. Arsenal still 2-0 up at home to Fulham. Wolves still 1-0 up at home to West Ham. Gillingham have equalised against Colchester, as Manchester United move it forward with Højlund on the left-hand side of the penalty area. And now Dorgu to Garnacho. So many times Manchester United have been in this area of the pitch, and so many times it's led to nothing, but this does end up in a corner. Garnacho's left-footed cross deflected out by Yates, and it's another Manchester United corner. It comes from a run in behind from Højlund. He made a run into that inside left channel and secured it in the penalty box. Murillo couldn't really touch him, and they walk a little bit of play, and it ends up being a corner from them, which has to be said, at times they have looked reasonably dangerous from. Fernandez has been taking the majority, if not all, of the corners so far for Manchester United, but Christian Eriksen's over this one, 2 arms aloft, delivers again into that front post area. Williams this time got decent contact on the header, clear. Not the best clearance though for Forest, although Fernandez has only one choice, and that is to go all the way back to his yellow shirted goalkeeper Andre Onana. Fernandez now, that's a great hit diagonally to Dorgu, who controls it well on the edge of the penalty area. Eriksen, it was behind him. It's another pass that was fairly simple, that wasn't played with the accuracy needed. De Ligt now being harried by Iwonyi. Mazraoui down the line, Dalot into Fernandez, gets his foot on the ball and can direct traffic once again for Manchester United. Angles another fine pass out to Garnacho, who is offside and then kicks the ball away. And that, I'm afraid to say, for Garnacho is not the finest 30 seconds you'll see from a professional. Firstly, to be offside when you've got the look of the line, and then secondly, to boot the ball away and pick up a senseless yellow card. Yeah, silly play. He's a young player and he has to learn. But you can't be giving away
they can't be giving away opportunities like that to give the ball back to Forest. Really, really silly offside. Look across the line. It's something that you taught as a wide player, really, really young in your career. You're looking across the line, don't be offside. And then the petulance then to kick the ball away is something that I'm sure his manager won't be best pleased with, and his captain Bruno Fernandes most definitely wasn't pleased with that.
Elliot Anderson's game is over. The England under-21 international has become an integral member of this Nottingham Forest team, and he applauds the Bridgeford stand and the Trent end, and he's getting a very generous and warm round of applause from the Forest fans. And it's the Argentina international Nico Dominguez that comes on in his place for what you imagine, and he will be a like-for-like replacement in the engine room of Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you see the reception that Ellie Anderson has got. He's firmly made himself a fan's favourite here at the City Ground. They've really, really taken to him, and you know, performances over the course of the season can dictate why that is. You see Dominguez come on, he's all action. You'll see him everywhere. He tackles, he harries, and technically he's a good footballer as well. So, like you say, like-for-like replacement, not too much will change.
Doncaster 2-1 up against Walsall in that big game at the top of League 2. Walsall, who were cantering to the title, have really hit the buffers, and they're behind at the Eco Power Stadium. Doncaster 2, Walsall 1, and Chesterfield have a second against Carlisle. 67 minutes played at the City Ground. Forest 1, Manchester United 0. Garnacho edge of the penalty area. Fernandes' little flick didn't really play it with the accuracy needed. Xerxes didn't get on the end of that. Dallow, though, right hand side of the box, fizzes the ball across, and it was well cleared by, I think, a combination of Murillo and possibly Milenkovic as well. No harm done in the end for Forest. Iwonyi with a little nudge in the back and then gets away from Dorgu, and the fans really appreciated that piece of play. Here is Dominguez for the first time in this game. Elanga demanding the ball on that far side of the right, and the goal scorer gets it away from Eriksson, away from Fernandes. Left-footed ball out to Moreno, level with the edge of the United penalty area. Couple of step overs from Moreno into the feet of Gibbs-White, and now Elanga on the edge, slows it right down. No one really in the box to aim for Gibbs-White. Iwonyi is threatening. Instead, it's Elanga. Lifts the ball in towards Gibbs-White, who's away from Mazraoui, who just about got back at him, and then a rather skewiff right-footed clearance, but it could aid Manchester United. Garnacho, wonderful control, and now he's inside the Forest box, onto his right foot. Garnacho, right foot shot defended by Yates, who then screams at the Brian Clough stand. That was a vital block, because Garnacho looked favourite to make that 1-1.
Yeah, it was a Forest attack. They gave away the ball, and it was fell to Bruno Fernandes, who clipped a beautiful ball over the top for Garnacho. And Ryan Yates does what he does brilliantly well. He gets in there, he doesn't give up on it, and he makes a vital challenge.
Manchester United fans are congregated behind the goal away to our right, and this is the end in which Manchester United are attacking, and the end in which Christian Eriksen will deliver this corner on this near side the right. Can they make one of these corners count? Another low one, another one flicked on at the front post. The right foot drive from Garnacho is wide. Well, he didn't hit that with the cleanliness that he would like, but Sells was worried. That wasn't too far away.
Yeah, it's gone through everybody, all the bodies. Nobody could get any contact on us. Come all the way through to Garnacho. It's kind of bobbling a little bit, and he strikes down into it. Doesn't get clean contact. But then sometimes when there's so many bodies in between, become really difficult for the keepers to be able to see. And thankfully for the Forest fans and the Forest players out there, it just drifted the other side. But agonising for the Man United fans, who some of them on the far side of the goal probably thought that was just going to drift in.
Yeah, that is the kind of effort that takes 2 or 3 ricochets and ends up dribbling in. But it's not been Manchester United's night so far, but we still have plenty of the game to go. 20 minutes to play. Forest 1, Manchester United 0. That goal for Nottingham Forest coming very early, 5 minutes, when Anthony Elanga scored that wonderful counter-attacking goal. Dominguez wins a throw for his side, despite Diego Dallo disagreeing. And Ruben Amorim will pass the ball to Alex Moreno, who has a little chat with Sam Barrett, the fourth official. Fleetwood now 3-1 up at Accrington. Accrington 1, Fleetwood 3, and Swindon have equalised against AFC Wimbledon in League 2. Swindon 1, Wimbledon 1. Forrest with the ball down the line. Iwonyi controls. Gibbs White pirouettes away from Eriksson in the centre of the Manchester United half. De Ligt then sweeps it out, and Dorgu can set off towards halfway. His shadows scampering alongside. The night sky very much with us here at Nottingham Forest, and that's a foul and a yellow card for Nico Williams for that late challenge on Garnacho. So another Forest player into the book, and this time Nico Williams.
Yeah, I don't think you can have too many complaints. Garnacho's kept the ball on the right side. He's kept the ball side. He's got his body in between, and Nico Williams has tried to slide in, couldn't quite get any contact on the ball. And if you go to ground, you don't get any contact on the ball, more often than not nowadays, it's a booking.
And he takes his punishment and goes to take his defensive position for this Manchester United free kick that Bruno Fernandes stands over. It's a good 35-40 yards out, and it's not too far away from the left touchline as Manchester United go from left to right. So this is very much a crossing opportunity rather than a shooting one. Forrest with a high line just outside the box. Fernandes drills it to the back post. De Ligt got something on it. Højlund towards Xerxes, easy for Sells. Under no pressure, the Nottingham Forest goalkeeper comes, collects, collapses, and kills a few precious seconds for Forest, who still have this 1-goal lead.
You just feel Man United are gaining a little bit of momentum in this game. They're starting to get some space in the wide areas. Garnacho starting to come into it a little bit. So, you know, Forest will want at some point to create a chance or to get a little passage of play together.
Gibbs White, far side the right for Forest. A couple of yards in from the touchline. Early ball forward, looking for the run of Gibbs White. Eriksson with a give and go to Fernandes. Early ball. Garnacho the target. Clearance only as far as Højlund, who picks it up in a central position. Xerxes ball with the instep of his right foot. Looked for Garnacho. Forest can deal with that comfortably enough, but Manchester United, you feel, are just stepping up the intensity in the last few moments. They still trail by a 1-0. Dalot with the effortless switch to Garnacho, who controls it stone dead on the angle and then shoots over the bar in a similar position to his last effort that was a couple of yards over. This was further away, but he's had a couple of those openings, Andy, and you can't give a player of Garnacho's quality that sort of time and space too often.
Yeah, he hasn't quite been able to get the right technique. He hasn't been able to get enough curl on the ball. He seemed to slash at a couple so far. His teammates look like they're getting a little bit frustrated with him at times as well. But one thing that you can't deny is he's getting space out on that left-hand side, and he's coming in on that right foot. Like you say, if you give a player of his quality chance after chance, well, when I say chance, I wouldn't say the clear-cut chances, but the opportunities for him to get into good areas, he will hurt you at some point.
Scored in Manchester United's 3-0 win over Leicester before the international break. But Manchester United have not looked like scoring tonight. Barrow Salford has finished 1-1. Bolton have scored very late on against Wigan. Wigan 0, Bolton 1. Lincoln have beaten Huddersfield 1-0, and Crewe have a second at home to Grimsby. Crewe 2, Grimsby 0. 74th minute at the City Ground. Forest 1, United 0. Elanga near side the left. Fernandes tackles but can't keep it in play. The Nottingham Forest fans, I think, just appreciating that they might be needed in the next 15 minutes, because Manchester United had just had a little spell. They haven't tested Matt Sells in this second half, but they threatened to do so in the last few moments. Xerxes shepherded almost out of play by Morato. Dominguez with the ball outside of his right boot to Gibbs White on the edge of the penalty area. Manchester United deal with that and have this throw in their right back position. Mason Mount is jogging back and may well join us for the final 15 minutes. Takes off his green bib. Long time out, Mason Mount. Højlund looks to get the wrong side of the Forest defence and does so, but his angle isn't great. He's into the box now, onto his right foot. Can he find a shooting angle? It's back to Garnacho. That's a brilliant block. Williams hurling himself in front of danger. It was a decent block as well, because that was goal bound. Fernandes has it for Manchester United in the middle of the Nottingham Forest half. The gloved Mazraoui. Dorgu wanted the ball into the box early, but his request refused. Dalot backwards of square. Fernandes loops it in. Dorgu's header straight at Sells. He rose really well, did Patrick Dorgu, but Sells didn't have to move to make the save.
Yeah, it was a good header. He just couldn't get enough pace on it because Fernandez, he's curled it in, but he's lifted it in as well, and there wasn't an awful lot of pace on the cross, so Dorgu had to generate his own pace. He couldn't quite generate enough, and Sells was able to deal with it comfortably enough.
Lovely touch, Iwanyi, and now Gibbs White into the game. He's into the penalty area. Gibbs White to seal it for Forest. He goes down under the challenge of Yoro and gets nothing from the referee. There were plenty of blue shirts in the way of Gibbs White. There aren't too many complaints either. We'll have a little look at that one. VAR, of course, will be having its customary check to see if it's worth going back for, but I don't think it will be. And Manchester United can continue this attack on the left-hand side with Garnacho level with the Forest box onto his right foot. This time decides to go cross-field with a pass rather than shooting. Dalot away from Moreno, and then slows it down once again, drops the shoulder, gets away from Moreno, but that's a cross into the front post. Actually, first glance looked like that was easy for Sells, but Murillo had to put it behind, and Manchester United have another corner with 14 minutes to play.
Yeah, it wasn't a great cross. It looked like he kicked it. He slipped as he was crossing it and kicked it off from one foot onto the other, but it looped up invitingly for Hyland, who was trying to get on the end of it there, and Murillo had to be on guard there.
Eriksson with this latest Manchester United corner, near side the right. The big men are forward, De Ligt and Yoro patrol. It's in towards Højlund, headed away. Dorgu thought about the first time volley on the edge. Garnacho spins away from Moreno, needs help over there, quite isolated on that left hand side. Gets support from Dorgu, his floated ball in. Williams heads away on the base, or just outside the 6-yard box. Eriksson is then fouling Anthony Elanga. Wasn't Eriksson, was it, who got the yellow card there?
Yeah, I think it was
Eriksson, but I think the yellow card was given for a previous challenge maybe. Anyway, we'll get that clarified. In the meantime, Mason Mount is joining us and Joshua Zirkzee is being replaced. I think it was Eriksson who did get that yellow card.
It was. Anthony Elanga was getting away from him, and I think Eriksson looked at Elanga and probably looked at his own legs and thought, I don't fancy a race with him back the pitch, so he thought the yellow card was a better option, and he was probably right.
Yes, that's 22-year-old meets 33-year-old. So Mason Mount is on the field. Just 4 Premier League starts this season. He's had that thigh injury. He returned to the bench against Leicester just before the international break, but didn't get on, so this is his first appearance since December. The former Derby County midfielder. The cries from the Nottingham Forest fans, they felt Dallot's boot was high on Gibbs White, but again, not too many complaints from Gibbs White himself. Fulham have a goal back late on at the Emirates. Arsenal 2, Fulham 1. They're deep into stoppage time at the Emirates Stadium. You can catch the back end of that on BBC Radio 5 Live. Onana forward, little touch from Garnacho. Eriksson directly, Højlund's first time touch. This is a nice Manchester United move. Garnacho now accelerating towards the edge of the penalty area. He's got Dorgu on the overlap. Dorgu's floated ball in was again ambitiously hit rather than hit with any great accuracy. Murillo is urging, Milenkovic rather, urging his attacking players to come back and help. A little bit of lethargy now entering Nottingham Forest play, and maybe that's not a surprise given their FA Cup exploits. Højlund trying to get on the end of a low ball into the box, poor clearance. Mason Mount's right foot shot is wide, and only just. And what an introduction that would have been for Mount. I think they were his first 2 touches, one to control and the second to place it just a couple of yards wide.
Well, there was a couple of ricochets. The ball ends up getting passed back to Milenkovic, who wasn't expecting it, and he's just slashed at it a little bit, straight to Mason Mount. And what an introduction that could have been for the Manchester United player. It just drifted agonisingly wide of Matt Sells' left-hand post.
The reinforcements are being summoned. Ramon Sosa is coming on for Nottingham Forest, as is Ibrahima Sangare, both predominantly used off the substitutes bench this season, Sangare in particular. So we wait with interest to see who is being replaced. There were some tired bodies there, Elanga and Gibbs White in particular. Gibbs White, who has been carrying this knock since the FA Cup quarter-final win over Brighton on Saturday. 4th official readies his board, but play continues. 10 minutes to play. Nottingham Forest 1, Manchester United 0. Thank you, Ian. 10 minutes to play at the City Ground. Nottingham Forest 1, Manchester United 0 in what has been an absorbing match in the East Midlands. Nottingham Forest in front very early. Anthony Elanga's fine run and finish. Manchester United, they've had most of the ball, but they have not tested Matt Sells, who's had a couple of half chances to deal with, but nothing that you would call clear cut. Nottingham Forest about to make a couple of changes. Ibrahim Sangare and Romain Sousa are coming on. A couple of tired bodies out there for Forest, who went through 120 minutes against Brighton in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, and they are still plugging away and trying to find 3 points to solidify their place in the Champions League places. We can get full time at Wycombe. Paul Scott.
Nil, Shrewsbury nil. A frustrating night for Wycombe, who dominated from start to finish, but they couldn't find a way through. They were up against a Shrewsbury side who threw their bodies on the line. They defended resiliently. Richard Kone off target 3 times. Simons forced 2 good saves. Good chances too from McCleary and Grimmer. A first point for Shrewsbury under new boss Michael Appleton. It finished Wycombe 0, Shrewsbury 0.
Thank you, Paul. Still Bristol Rovers 1, Birmingham 2. We'll keep you in touch with that one as we enter the latter stages at the Memorial Ground. Manchester United building slowly on the edge of the Forest penalty area. Eriksson, second half change for Manchester United. Fernandes takes over, but several Forest bodies in the way. They've done that really well, Nottingham Forest. Defended doggedly. And now on the counter-attack they can be so dangerous. And it's Elanga, the goal scorer. He's away from Yoro. Taken down by Yoro on the edge of the penalty area, but he got a lot of the ball, according to the referee, Jared Gillett. And play continues, Andy Reid.
Yeah, it looked like he got a touch on the ball there, but it was last gasp for Yoro, and he would have been in trouble if he didn't get a touch on it. Anthony Elanga is so quick in them moments, but Yoro has actually done well, but he'll be breathing a sigh of relief there.
Fernandes with a switch of play, left-hand side of the penalty area for Manchester United in their blue shirts. It's with Garnacho, pulls it back, and there's nobody there apart from Nico Dominguez, who's wearing a red shirt. And then Teo Iwonyi wins Nottingham Forest a free kick. Mazraoui pulling his shirt. Forest will have this free kick inside their own half. 83 minutes played. They lead Manchester United by a goal to 0.
It's brilliant work from Iwonyi. He gets his body in. He wins his team a free kick. I mean, he works tirelessly, and you can see how much he's appreciated tonight by these Forest fans. He hasn't had much to go at in terms of in possession, but his work rate has been absolutely incredible tonight.
Peterborough have a 4th against Crawley. Some game in League One. Crawley 3, Peterborough 4, deep into stoppage time. 6 and a bit minutes to play at a vibrant City Ground. It's been a wonderful atmosphere. Forest fans celebrating their return to Wembley in the FA Cup semi-final. They love the start they made to this game. Manchester United travelling well as they always do. Forest as they attack from right to left with Dominguez inside the penalty area. Iwonyi turn, spin, block from Yoro. Yates on the volley is a trickler and 7 or 8 yards wide. Ryan Yates didn't quite connect with that as he'd hoped, and Manchester United have this goal kick, but they're running out of time.
Yeah, you just felt that Forest needed that for themselves. They needed a little bit of forward play, a little bit of possession, because Man United over the last probably 15 minutes have been really growing into this game. They've been getting into good areas and not quite creating the chances, but they've been getting into dangerous areas, getting the forward players in good positions, and it's been tough for Forest in this last 10-12 minutes.
Ibrahim Sangare and Ramon Sosa are still waiting to join us, and they've been standing on the edge of the pitch for the best part of 5 minutes now, jogging, moving from side to side to keep warm on what is now a chilly East Midlands evening on what has been a glorious day. Forest on halfway. Fernandes retrieves possession, but Alex Moreno was fouled by Mason Mount, and that'll be a free kick to Forest inside their own half. Here come those changes, and Anthony Elanga is being replaced. What a difference he has made to this Nottingham Forest side. Back in the team, the only change from that FA Cup quarter-final. And Nuno's decision was justified within 5 minutes with that wonderful goal. He's being replaced by Ramon Sosa. And the adulation he's getting from the City Ground support Andy, has been well deserved because he's had a very good game.
Yeah, Anthony Elanga for me has been the best player on the pitch. He's looked so dangerous when he gets on the turn and he's driving at defenders. He's a real joy to watch. He scares the life out of defenders. He's electric. He scored an incredible goal. I mean, if you get a chance to watch this goal tonight, you really need to see it. He ran 3/4 the length of the pitch and a brilliant finish then at the end as the Manchester United defenders backed off. Really incredible performance tonight. And I suppose mention Taiwo Awoniyi as well, who was kind of soldiers on up top, and he's been a real focal point for Forest in them forward areas.
Yeah, Awoniyi replaced Ramon Sosa on Match of the Day tomorrow night, BBC One, 20 to 11 for all of tonight's highlights and tomorrow's matches as well, plenty of them. Commentary on 5 Live, the Merseyside derby, Liverpool, Everton, with Newcastle, Brentford on 5 Sports Extra. We have 4 minutes to play at the City Ground. Nottingham Forest 1, Manchester United 0. Another angled ball in the direction of Højlund. Forest, as they have done throughout the evening, deal with that with minimal fuss. Fernandez then doesn't foul Yates. Looked like he had done. Referee Jared Gillett, the Australian referee, has let an awful lot go in this game and has aided the flow. Actually, it's been a really good watch. De Ligt goes long towards the edge of the Forest penalty area. Dominguez will let this go, but Garnacho in front of him. Argentina on Argentina, and the end result is a Nottingham Forest goal kick. The Argentine in red did a better job there.
Yeah, he done well there in the end, but at one point I bet he got a little bit nervous as he went down to the ground there. He thought Garnacho had got the wrong side of him.
Ryan Yates has been awarded the man of the match, going against your call there, Andy. But the fans appreciate that, and again, as he has done throughout the game, Ryan Yates, every block, every tackle, he's thrown his arms in the air, he's got the fans involved.
He's Forest through and through, and you know, for any young player looking at what young player wanting to come through, looking at what a journey might look, Ryan Yates has played at every level, from National League all the way up. He scored at every level. Every time there's been a challenge put in front of him, he smashed right through it, and that's why the fans appreciate him so much here. They sing he's one of their own. He's all action. He gives everything for the cause, and incredible person as well.
Manchester United have made a change, and for all the talk of tactics and 3 at the back and all the rest of it, Harry Maguire has come on to play alongside Rasmus Højlund. And that is where we're at with Manchester United currently. They trail 1-0, and Harry Maguire joins Rasmus Højlund up front. Maguire, who has a couple of very late goals to his name, scoring in injury time against Porto and Leicester, so maybe this is a shrewd move. Garnacho on the left-hand side of the box wins a corner for Manchester United. Williams in the way, and this is where Harry Maguire can be very useful. 2 minutes to play. Forest 1, Manchester United 0. Christian Eriksen over this corner. Nottingham Forest looking for a first league double over Manchester United since 1992. Manchester United looking to win back-to-back league games for the first time this season. They'll just be happy with an equaliser given the state of the game. Eriksen's corner, there's no one there in blue. Easy header for Dominguez on the penalty spot. Fernandez, early ball with the outside of his right foot. And you won't need me to tell you, courtesy of the jeers, that has gone straight through to Matt Sells. And in many ways, Andy, that sums up Manchester United. The creativity hasn't been there, the final ball hasn't been there, and you are hard-pressed to think of a Matt Sells save that you'd call, wow, what a save that was.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. There's still a bit to go. I can see what Amarin is trying here by putting Harry Maguire up front, because Man United have got into some good wide areas and probably didn't have anybody in the box or enough in the box to be able to deliver it to. Now, if they get the opportunity in this last few minutes to put the ball into the box, I'm pretty sure they will.
45 seconds of normal time to play, plus whatever stoppage time we will have added on. Mount on the left-hand side of the Forest penalty area, the former Derby man. Dorgu swings it in. Moreno heads it away on the 6-yard box. And here goes Ramon Sosa, the fresh legs, scampers away from Mazraoui, sensibly plays it back over halfway to ensure the red shirts still have the ball, and it's with the other sub, Sangare, into the feet of Dominguez, and now the gloved Morato, who plays it down the line looking for Moreno. The corner flag, the destination for Forest here. Sousa near side the left, Sangare with the big switch, and that's a fine ball. Williams on the right hand side of the box can win it here for Forest. He went early with his right foot volley, and he went 2 or 3 yards over the bar. That would have been some way to finish it as we enter 6 minutes of added on time at the City Ground. Nottingham Forest 1, Manchester United 0.
Brilliant play by Forest. So's the started her off down this left hand side. He won the ball, burst past a couple of Man United players. The ball comes back out to Sangarius, which is a great ball out to Nico Williams, and with Nico Williams' technical ability, he thought he could strike it, and it wasn't a bad effort.
What do Manchester United have in the final 6 minutes of this game at the City Ground? Garnacho's cross looking for Maguire. Milenkovic heads it away. It won't surprise you to hear Milenkovic, Murillo and Morata, a back three Forest deployed quite early on in this game, have been excellent for Forest at the back. It's looking like yet another clean sheet for Nottingham Forest. They've got the joint most Premier League clean sheets with Liverpool. They'll be going one ahead of them if it stays this way. Maguire at the back post heads it into no man's land, but Forest don't deal with that particularly convincingly. There's a Manchester United player down, but play continues. Dalot swings it in with his right foot from the angle of the penalty area. That one is headed away, and now there's a Nottingham Forest counter-attack being led by Nico Dominguez. 2-on-2 momentarily, but Dominguez heads for the corner flag. Nuno was pointing the way, and then Dominguez rather runs into blue traffic. Easy for Manchester United to dispossess him. Having said that, Forest had committed barely anyone to that attack. Such is their determination to see this out. Here is Dorgu, left hand side of the penalty area. Low ball in, Maguire was there and heads wide. And that is why Harry Maguire is being played late on in this game, but his header, Andy, a couple of yards wide.
Yeah, it was, and we mentioned about Man United getting the ball in wide areas. That's another one there. Dorgu has broke forward. It was a good way to pass. He got it just before it went out, clipped a nice ball towards that back post, and Harry Maguire coming in, he gets good contact on it. He probably almost gets too good contact on it and heads it back where it came from. He got decent contact, and I think he should have done better there. We're looking at the replay, and I think he'll be very, very disappointed with that. His manager looks really disappointed as well.
Matt Sells taking his time over this goal kick, which gives us a chance to go to the Memorial Ground and find out whether Birmingham City have increased their lead at the top of League One. Molly Stevens?
They have indeed. They have strengthened their position there. Kashi Anderson got the opener. Catlin Odonko equalised, and the winner came from the spot. Jay Stansfield's penalty. Not their best performance tonight, but they won't care, as 11 points now separate them and second place Wrexham. Bristol Rovers remain 1 place above the drop. It finishes Bristol Rovers 1, Birmingham 2.
Thank you, Molly. 3 minutes to play at the City Ground. Forest 1, Manchester United 0. Right foot shot, Garnacho on the edge. That's another one blocked by the immovable Ryan Yates, who's been in the way of absolutely everything this evening. Manchester United reload. Dorgu and now Garnacho, far side the left, running at Williams. He's into the box, onto his right foot. Another one that is blocked by Yates. Gibbs White battling away. A doubt before this game because of injury, but he has been another excellent performer for Nottingham Forest in this game. Fernandez out to that far side the left, and Dorgu. Manchester United playing 5 up front, including Maguire. He's the target, heads down, nobody there for Manchester United. Hacked clear by Murillo, and out of play for a Manchester United throw with 2 and a bit minutes to play.
Well, there's some nerves around the City Ground at the moment. There really is. It's all hands to the pump.
Here comes another Manchester United attack. It's Dorgu again, centrally positioned, slides it down a channel. Mason Mount low, Hoyland lurking. It's Milenkovic this time away. We are very much in anywhere will do territory. 2 minutes to play. The Manchester United fans in the Bridgeford stand to our right, they're all standing and they're all urging the ball to be played into the penalty area. The City Ground is not as loud as it has been as the Forest fans watch nervously on. If they win this game, they go 10 points clear of Newcastle in 6th ahead of their game against Brentford. 10-point cushion to what should be the Champions League places, with top 5 more than likely qualifying for the top table of European football. Here comes a Manchester United long throw. They're not getting on with it particularly quickly, which is strange. Throw goes short. Wasn't a good looking throw, but we play on. Garnacho with the ball into the box, doesn't beat Yates, the front man, and now Gibbs White can surge over halfway. He has got two Manchester United players with him, goes square to Sosa, but Fernandes is back there helping out. Into the final minute we play on BBC Radio 5 Live. Manchester United trail Nottingham Forest by 1-0. Fernandes spreads it out to that far side, the left. Dorgu waits, receives, crosses left-footed. Højlund attacks it, so does Milenkovic. Out of play for another Manchester United throw in Nottingham Forest left-back position. Taken quickly. Dorgu level with the edge of the box. Infield to Fernandes. He plays it into the back post. Maguire hits the deck under no pressure. This drops out of play for a Manchester United throw. Very close to the corner flag on the right-hand side. This might be Andy Reid, the last chance of the game.
Yeah, it could possibly be. Forest are defending their own box, defending it pretty well so far, but Manchester United could come up with one last chance.
Fernandes, loop ball into the penalty area. Another one headed away by Williams and then hacked into the Nottingham sky by Morato. You could hear the cheers reverberate around this old ground. They've seen some brilliant nights this season, and this could be another one. Into the FA Cup semi-finals over the weekend. They're close to solidifying their place in the top 5. Maybe one more Manchester United attack to repel. Garnacho, edge of the penalty area, plays it square. It's Dalot inside the box. Mazraoui to the back post, attacked by Maguire. Oh, it's off the line! Brilliant defending, Murillo. That looked in for all the world. And Murillo in the right place at the right time to keep the score at 1-0 Nottingham Forest, but still Manchester United come forward. The ball flashed across goal and wide, and that is that. Victory for Nottingham Forest, another win. They go 10 points clear of Newcastle in 6th. This phenomenal season shows no sign of slowing, and this 1-0 win over Manchester United, all the hallmarks of what has made Forest so good to watch this season. A blistering counter-attacking goal, followed by some resilient defending right at the death, typified by a brilliant Murillo clearance almost on the line. Andy Reid.
Well, we're just trying to catch our breaths here. I mean, that last passage of play, I mean, probably the last 10 minutes, Man United were knocking on the door. We're out really creating too much, it must be said. But that last bit, just a ball launched into the box, it drops down. Maguire gets a toe poke on it. It's going in the bottom corner, and somehow, incredibly, Murillo gets back onto the line and he clears it. It was an incredible clearance. What an end to the game. I mean, you mentioned the game being absorbing, and I think that's probably the best way to describe it. It wasn't a load of chances, but there was lots of intensity in the game. It was end to end at times, and towards the end Forest had to soak up a lot of pressure. Man United really on the front foot. Harry Maguire thrown up front to cause problems, and they definitely did cause problems in that last 10 minutes, but not enough. Not enough to break down that Forest red wall that was in front of the goal.
Another win for Forest, another clean sheet. They stay third and 4 points behind Arsenal in second, but more importantly, they are 10 points clear of Newcastle United in 6th. They do have a couple of games in hand in Newcastle, but Nottingham Forest look good for Champions League football next season. For Manchester United, once again, more questions than answers. Ruben Amorim's side toothless up front, and they leave the City Ground with nothing and stay 13th in the Premier League. Great fun at the City Ground, Kelly. It's finished. Nottingham Forest 1, Manchester United 0.